Hey there, welcome to Broderos. Tonight, we've got hours of chilling horror stories combined with soothing rain sounds to help you relax and sleep. Before you drift off, leave a comment below and let us know where you're listening from and what time it is. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe right away. If you end up not enjoying it, you can always take it back later. Get cozy and let the fear take over. The last bus. Have you ever wondered what happens on the last bus of the night? The one that crosses the empty city streets when most people are already asleep? I used to take that bus regularly, but after what happened on October 23rd, 2023, I haven't stepped foot on public transportation again. My name is Michael Harrison, and I work as a night security guard at Riverside Medical Center in downtown Portland, Oregon. That night, I finished my shift at 11:45 p.m., later than usual because my replacement was running late. The autumn air was crisp, and a light drizzle had begun to fall, creating halos around the streetlights. I hurried to catch the last number 37 bus that would take me to my apartment in the Hawthorne district. The schedule showed it would arrive at midnight. As I stood at the dimly lit bus stop on Southwest 5th Avenue, I noticed how unnaturally quiet the city had become. Even for this hour, Portland usually maintains some level of activity, but tonight, the silence felt oppressive. The bus arrived exactly on time, its headlights cutting through the misty darkness. As I boarded, I immediately sensed something was off. The interior lights seemed dimmer than usual, casting strange shadows across the faces of the few passengers scattered throughout the vehicle. The driver, an elderly man with deeply sunken eyes, didn't acknowledge my greeting or my tap of the transit pass. I made my way down the aisle, counting 7 other passengers. There was a woman in a red business suit typing frantically on her phone, her fingers moving at an impossible speed. An elderly couple sat holding hands, but their grip looked more like a death clutch than an affectionate gesture. A teenage boy wearing headphones stared unblinkingly out the window, though his music device appeared to be turned off. 3 other passengers sat in the back, their features obscured by the shadows, but I could feel their eyes following my movement. Taking a seat in the middle section, I pulled out my phone to distract myself from the growing unease in my stomach. That's when I noticed I had no signal, unusual for downtown Portland. The rain outside had intensified, drumming against the windows with an almost rhythmic pattern that sounded less like water and more like fingernails tapping on glass. I thought about getting off at the next stop and calling a rideshare, but when I looked out the window, I realized we weren't following the usual route. Instead of turning east toward the Hawthorne Bridge, the bus continued north into Old Town, an area known for its historic buildings and, after dark, its emptiness. The woman in the red suit suddenly stopped typing and looked directly at me. Her smile was too wide, stretching beyond what seemed humanly possible. She opened her mouth as if to speak, and I saw something dark moving behind her teeth. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be a normal ride home. The woman in red reached into her suit jacket and pulled out a business card that seemed to be made of something that looked like burned flesh. "Sarah Chen, Terminus Transit Authority," she said, her voice now carrying echoes of thousands of screams. "We've been watching you for some time, Michael. Your nightly observations of the emergency room arrivals at Riverside Medical, your special attention to those who don't make it." My blood ran cold. She was right. As a security guard, I developed a habit of noting down details about patients who died in the ER, feeling compelled to record their final moments. I never knew why I did it, but something always drew me to these cases. "That's why we're here," the teenager, Jason, suddenly spoke, his voice coming from somewhere below his broken neck. "You've been collecting our stories, and now we're collecting you. The elderly couple began to sing a lullaby in perfect harmony, their voices gurgling as if still filled with river water. I recognized the tune. It was the same one my mother used to sing to me before she died when I was 10. There was no way they could have known that. The bus lurched upward at an even steeper angle, and I caught a glimpse through the window of what looked like the St. John's Bridge, but it was twisted into a Mobius strip that went on forever, cars falling endlessly through the sky around it. The rain outside had turned to blood, leaving crimson trails on the windows that formed words in languages that hurt my eyes to look at. James Cooper stood up from his seat in the back, his shadowy uniform dripping with darkness. "Remember that night shift last December, Michael? When you heard those screams from the basement morgue but didn't investigate? That was my last night. I waited for help, but you wrote it off as just another strange hospital noise." Guilt and terror mixed in my stomach as the memories flooded back. I had heard something that night, but I convinced myself it was just the old building settling. The next day, James was reported missing, and I took over his position. "We all have connections to you," Sarah Chin continued, her form now flickering between the businesswoman and something with too many angles. "The stories you recorded, the calls for help you ignored, the moments you could have changed but didn't. We're your personal Terminus Transit Authority collection team." The driver's head spun again, completing another full rotation. 2 minutes to Terminus Station, he announced. Through the windshield, I could see what looked like a massive, Gothic version of Portland's Transit Mall, but the buildings were made of writhing shadows and screaming faces. The other passengers began to hum in unison, a sound that made my teeth vibrate and my vision blur. That's when I noticed something about my reflection in the window. I could see through it, just like the others. Looking down at my hands, I realized with growing horror that I could see the seat through them. The woman in red was right. I didn't belong here yet, but I was starting to. "Time to decide, Michael," Sarah Chin whispered, her face now inches from mine, her breath smelling of open graves. "Would you like to know what's at Terminus Station? Would you like to see where all those stories you collected end up? Or," she gestured to the emergency exit door, "would you prefer to write a different ending?" Through the windows, I could no longer see Portland streets. Instead, we appeared to be driving through a tunnel of absolute darkness, with occasional flashes of landscapes that couldn't possibly exist in our world. I saw twisted versions of familiar locations, Powell's books with books that bled real blood, Pioneer Square filled with statues that followed our movement, and the Portland Rose Garden where the flowers were made of screaming faces. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe, and I knew I had to get off this bus before we reached whatever Terminus Station was. But as I looked around desperately for an escape route, I noticed something even more terrifying. We were now traveling upward at an impossible angle, yet everyone and everything remained perfectly level, as if gravity had become optional. The woman in red was now standing directly beside my seat, her presence causing the air to feel thick and electric. "Would you like to know how each of us ended up here, Michael? Would you like to hear our stories? We have such stories to tell." The woman in red reached into her suit jacket and pulled out a business card that seemed to be made of something that looked like burned flesh. "Sarah Chin, Terminus Transit Authority," she said, her voice now carrying echoes of thousands of screams. "We've been watching you for some time, Michael. Your nightly observations of the emergency room arrivals at Riverside Medical, your special attention to those who don't make it." My blood ran cold. She was right. As a security guard, I developed a habit of noting down details about patients who died in the ER, feeling compelled to record their final moments. I never knew why I did it, but something always drew me to these cases. "That's why we're here," the teenager, Jason, suddenly spoke, his voice coming from somewhere below his broken neck. "You've been collecting our stories, and now we're collecting you." The elderly couple began to sing a lullaby in perfect harmony, their voices gurgling as if still filled with river water. I recognized the tune. It was the same one my mother used to sing to me before she died when I was 10. There was no way they could have known that. The bus lurched upward at an even steeper angle, and I caught a glimpse through the window of what looked like the St. John's Bridge, but it was twisted into a Mobius strip that went on forever, cars falling endlessly through the sky around it. The rain outside had turned to blood, leaving crimson trails on the windows that formed words in languages that hurt my eyes to look at. James Cooper stood up from his seat in the back, his shadowy uniform dripping with darkness. "Remember that night shift last December, Michael? When you heard those screams from the basement morgue but didn't investigate? That was my last night. I waited for help, but you wrote it off as just another strange hospital noise." Guilt and terror mixed in my stomach as the memories flooded back. I had heard something that night, but I convinced myself it was just the old building settling. The next day, James was reported missing, and I took over his position. "We all have connections to you," Sarah Chin continued, her form now flickering between the businesswoman and something with too many angles. "The stories you recorded, the calls for help you ignored, the moments you could have changed but didn't. We're your personal Terminus Transit Authority collection team." The driver's head spun again, completing another full rotation. 2 minutes to Terminus Station, he announced. Through the windshield, I could see what looked like a massive, Gothic version of Portland's Transit Mall, but the buildings were made of writhing shadows and screaming faces. The other passengers began to hum in unison, a sound that made my teeth vibrate and my vision blur. That's when I noticed something about my reflection in the window. I could see through it, just like the others. Looking down at my hands, I realized with growing horror that I could see the seat through them. The woman in red was right. I didn't belong here yet, but I was starting to. "Time to decide, Michael," Sarah Chin whispered, her face now inches from mine, her breath smelling of open graves. "Would you like to know what's at Terminus Station? Would you like to see where all those stories you collected end up? Or," she gestured to the emergency exit door, "would you prefer to write a different ending?" The bus was now vertical, climbing through reality itself toward a point of absolute darkness above us. As my body began to feel lighter, less substantial, I knew I had only moments to make my choice. Behind me, James Cooper began to laugh, a sound like metal scraping on bone, and the elderly couple's song reached a fever pitch. I looked at my watch one last time. It read 12:33 a.m., but the numbers were bleeding into each other, just like everything else in this nightmare journey. In that fraction of a second before making my decision, time seemed to freeze. The blood rain hung suspended outside the windows, each drop containing reflections of different moments from my life, all the times I turned away from someone in need, all the stories of death I collected with my morbid fascination. The emergency exit handle gleamed invitingly, but Sarah Chin's words echoed in my mind. "Would you like to know how each of us ended up here?" And suddenly, I realized why I'd been recording all those death stories at the hospital. Deep down, I'd always known there was something wrong with the last bus on Route 37. I'd seen it pass by the hospital every night at midnight, and sometimes, through the windows, I'd caught glimpses of familiar faces, people I knew had died at Riverside Medical. "Your badge," Sarah Chin said, pointing to my security credentials. "Look at it carefully." I pulled out my badge with trembling hands. The photo showed me standing in front of the hospital entrance, but as I watched, the image changed. Now it showed me sleeping at my desk 3 nights ago, when I should have been doing my rounds. In the background, through the security office window, an elderly man was having a heart attack in the parking lot. By the time someone found him, it had been too late. That was my father, the teenager, Jason said. His form flickered, and suddenly he appeared as he truly died, not in a basketball accident as the missing persons report claimed, but on a gurney in Riverside Medical's ER, while I was focused on documenting another death rather than responding to the code blue alert. The elderly couple's song transformed into words I could understand. For minutes longer, that's all we needed. 4 minutes of CPR before the ambulance arrived. But you were too busy writing about the suicide victim in the West Wing to hear her car go off the bridge. James Cooper's shadowy form loomed closer. And I saw something I wasn't supposed to see that night in the morgue, didn't I, Michael? A certain doctor performing unauthorized experiments. You heard my screams but didn't come down because you were adding another story to your collection. The bus had stopped moving upward, now hovering in a void of absolute darkness. Through the windshield, I could see Terminus Station in all its horrific glory, a massive, impossible structure that looked like Union Station merged with a cathedral built from bones and shadows. Above its entrance, written in shifting letters that burned themselves into my mind, was a phrase, "All stories end here." Last chance, Michael, Saracen said, her form now completely transformed into something that defied description. Emergency exit or end of the line? I looked at my watch one final time. It now read 12:37 a.m., the exact time of death for so many of the stories I collected. With shaking fingers, I reached for my phone and opened the Notes app. There they were, hundreds of entries, dates, times, and details of deaths I'd witnessed from afar. But they weren't just notes anymore. Each entry was glowing with a sickly light, and I could hear whispers coming from the screen. The driver, his head still backward, spoke in that grinding metal voice, "Terminus Station. All collectors must pay their fare." In that moment, I understood. I wasn't just a witness or a recorder of death. I was a collector, someone who fed off these stories, these moments of tragedy. Each note I'd taken was a death I could have prevented if I'd been doing my job instead of indulging my obsession. I stood up, my legs surprisingly steady. Sarah Chen's impossible smile grew even wider as I walked past the emergency exit. "Welcome to the Transit Authority," she said. The doors of Terminus Station opened, revealing a vast hall filled with thousands of glowing screens, each showing a moment of death, a story ending. And there, at a desk that seemed to be made of fossilized screams, was an empty chair with my name on it. As I stepped off the bus, I felt the last of my substance fade away, leaving only my obsession, my collection of death stories, and an eternity to gather more. The bus doors closed behind me with a sound like a coffin lid dropping, and I took my place among the collectors. Now I sit here, in Terminus Station, watching new stories unfold on my screen. Sometimes, I see other security guards, doctors, or passers-by choosing to look away instead of help. I record their stories too, knowing that someday, they'll take their own ride on the last bus of the night. And if you're reading this, remember, the last bus on Route 37 still runs every night at midnight. But ask yourself, are you just observing the tragedy around you, or are you doing something about it? Because sooner or later, we all have to pay our fare. Night shift. I've always found the night shift to be a curious paradox. There's a peculiar tranquility that wraps around the hospital like a heavy blanket. It feels surreal, almost like stepping into another realm where the world outside fades away. Yet, beneath this calm facade lies an undercurrent of unease, a whisper of danger that creeps into my thoughts. As I arrive at the hospital, the flickering fluorescent lights cast a cold glow across the parking lot. I take a deep breath, letting the crisp night air fill my lungs. This is my sanctuary, yet it also holds secrets that often surface when the sun disappears. I can hear the soft hum of machines inside, their rhythmic beeping echoing through the sterile halls. Each sound resonates with a life hanging in the balance, a reminder of my responsibility. Tonight, I'm assigned to the pediatric ward. The thought of the children there tugs at my heart. They're innocent, vulnerable. Each smile hides a world of suffering. As I make my way down the corridor, I can't shake the feeling that something is off. A chill runs down my spine, but I dismiss it as just another sleepless night's paranoia. I pause outside the first room. Little Emma, a 5-year-old with bright blue eyes, is fast asleep, her small figure tucked beneath a mountain of blankets. I gently check her vitals and notice that the monitor is slightly unstable. I frown, tapping the screen to ensure it's functioning properly. Just a glitch, I murmur to myself, trying to reassure my racing heart. But as I look at Emma's peaceful face, a sudden wave of dread washes over me. The room feels heavier, almost as if the air is thickening around me. I shake my head, banishing the thought. It's just my imagination playing tricks on me in the dead of night. Still, as I move to the next room, I can't shake the sensation that I'm being watched. I glance back over my shoulder, half expecting to see someone there. But the hallway remains empty, illuminated only by the harsh, unflattering lights. I remind myself that I'm alone, that my mind is just conjuring up fears in the silence of the night. As I reach the second room, a feeling of unease settles deeper within me. I can hear faint whispers, but the sound seems to ebb and flow like a ghostly presence. I step inside, checking on another patient, a boy named Noah who has been battling a rare illness. He stirs slightly but doesn't wake. The whispers grow louder, echoing in my mind, yet I can't decipher their source. Suddenly, a loud crash reverberates through the ward. My heart leaps into my throat as I rush out of the room, fear clawing at my insides. What was that? I scan the hallway, searching for the source of the sound. It could be a patient in distress or something more sinister. My instincts scream that I need to investigate. This is where I must be careful. The night shift can play tricks on your mind. Shadows dance along the walls, and the echoes of distant voices often create an atmosphere of paranoia. But deep down, I know something is amiss. Something darker lurks in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. I take a tentative step down the corridor, my heart pounding in my chest. The air feels charged, electric, as if the very walls of the hospital are alive with tension. I try to calm myself, reminding myself that I've faced emergencies before. But the whispers continue to swirl in my mind, growing louder, more insistent. Hello? I call out, my voice wavering slightly. Is anyone there? The only response is the soft hum of the overhead lights and the distant beep of monitors. I reach the nurse's station, but it's empty, the usual chatter and laughter absent in the stillness of the night. A knot tightens in my stomach. As I scan the area, I catch a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye, a fleeting shadow flitting past one of the rooms. My breath hitches as I turn to look. It's gone. I force myself to breathe slowly, to focus. It's late. My mind is likely playing tricks on me, fueled by exhaustion. But as I approach the room where I saw the shadow, a chill runs down my spine. The door is ajar, and I can hear muffled voices. I lean closer, straining to catch what they're saying. It sounds like children's laughter mixed with a low, melodic hum. The sound is both enchanting and eerie, a strange juxtaposition that makes my skin crawl. Is someone in there? I call again, my voice firmer this time, although I can't shake the tremor beneath it. The laughter abruptly stops, replaced by an unsettling silence that stretches out painfully. My instincts scream at me to back away, to leave this area behind. But curiosity and duty bind me to this place. I push the door open a little wider, peering inside. The room is dimly lit, shadows cast by the nightlight creating a strange tableau on the walls. Emma's bed is empty, the sheets twisted and tangled. Panic flares in my chest. Where could she have gone? I step inside, calling for her softly. Emma? Are you in here? No response. I glance around, my heart racing. The window is slightly ajar, and a cold breeze sweeps through the room, making the curtains flutter. I rush over, peering outside. The parking lot is deserted, and the night is unnaturally quiet. Then, I hear it again, the laughter echoing through the halls, but this time it feels different. It's distant, almost like it's calling to me. I hesitate, torn between the impulse to run and the instinct to search. I can't leave Emma alone, not when I don't know where she is. Just then, the lights flicker, plunging the room into darkness for a brief moment before returning to their harsh glare. My heart races even faster now. I need to find her. I dart out of the room, retracing my steps down the corridor, the laughter fading into silence once more. Every room I pass feels alive with secrets, the faint sounds of breathing and machines blending into an unsettling symphony. The hospital, usually a place of healing, now feels like a labyrinth filled with hidden horrors. I can't shake the feeling that I'm not alone, that something, or someone, watches me from the shadows. With each passing moment, the weight of dread settles heavier on my shoulders. The whispers return, wrapping around me like a fog, and I realize I need to find a way to break this cycle of fear. As I move deeper into the ward, the laughter echoes again, this time more insistent, like it's beckoning me. I stop in my tracks, my heart racing. The sound seems to come from the end of the hallway, a place where the light fades into shadow. Every instinct tells me to turn back, to call for help, but the thought of Emma drives me forward. I approach the last room on the left, its door slightly ajar. Hesitating for just a moment, I push it open, the hinges creaking as if protesting my intrusion. Inside, the air is thick with an unsettling stillness. The room appears empty at first glance, but then I notice something odd, the toys strewn across the floor as if a child had played and abruptly left. My gaze travels to the bed, where a figure sits, shrouded in darkness. Emma? I whisper, my voice barely breaking the silence. As I step closer, the figure turns, and my breath catches in my throat. It's not Emma. A girl, perhaps a little older than Emma, sits there, her hair falling in tangled strands around her face. She stares at me with wide, unblinking eyes that seem far too knowing for someone so young. You shouldn't be here, she says, her voice soft yet laced with an underlying urgency. Where's Emma? I demand, my heart pounding. What have you done with her? The girl shakes her head slowly. She's not lost. She's playing. Her words send a shiver down my spine, and I can't help but feel that there's something deeply wrong with this child. Playing? With whom? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. The whispers swirl in my mind again, a haunting chorus that fills the room. With the others, the girl replies cryptically, her eyes flicking to the shadows beyond me. You have to go. They don't like visitors. A sense of dread envelopes me, and I instinctively take a step back. Who are they? I press, but the girl merely smiles, a vacant expression that chills me to the core. Before I can react, the lights flicker again, plunging the room into darkness for a heartbeat. Panic rises within me, and I turn to leave, but the door slams shut with a deafening bang, trapping me inside. I push against it, my heart racing, but it won't budge. Let me out, I shout, my voice echoing in the confined space. The girl merely watches, her expression unchanged, as if this is all part of a game she doesn't want to play anymore. Suddenly, the laughter erupts again, louder this time, filling the room with an overwhelming sense of dread. I can feel something shifting in the air, a presence that sends chills down my spine. I can't stay here, I have to escape. I pound on the door, shouting for help, desperation clawing at my throat. Someone, please. But my voice is swallowed by the oppressive silence, and the girl simply watches, an eerie calmness about her. In that moment, I realize that whatever is happening here is beyond my understanding. I feel the weight of unseen eyes upon me, the shadows moving closer, closing in on my mind. I take a deep breath, fighting back the rising panic. Emma. I call out again, hoping against hope that she can hear me. If you're there, please come back. My words hang in the air, fragile and tentative, as the laughter morphs into something darker, more sinister. Just then, the lights flicker one last time, and the girl's expression shifts, a hint of something unrecognizable flashing in her eyes. They're coming, she whispers, her voice low and urgent. My heart pounds as the girl's warning reverberates in my mind. I glance back at the door, willing it to open, but it remains steadfastly shut. The laughter morphs into a cacophony of sounds, echoing off the walls, blending with the whispers that swirl around me like a storm. It feels like the very air in the room thickens, becoming heavy with dread. Who's coming? I demand, trying to keep my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. The girl's eyes widen slightly, and for a moment, I think I see fear flicker across her face. But it vanishes just as quickly, replaced by that unsettling calm. They don't like when you try to leave, she says softly, almost sing-song. They'll want to play with you too. I can feel the temperature in the room drop, a bone-deep chill that wraps around me. What do you mean? Who are they? My voice cracks as I press against the door, desperately searching for any way out. Suddenly, the lights flicker again, and the shadows in the corners seem to stretch and twist, moving with a life of their own. It's as if they're beckoning me closer, whispering secrets that I dare not listen to. The girl's expression remains blank, but I can see the tension in her posture, as if she's waiting for something to happen. The laughter crescendos, and I can feel it vibrating through my bones. In that moment, I understand that whatever is happening here is not just a trick of the mind. There is something genuinely sinister at play, and I am caught in the middle of it. Without thinking, I step back from the door and take a deep breath, gathering my courage. I'm not playing your games, I say firmly, hoping to assert some authority. I need to find Emma. The girl tilts her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. She can't come back. Not now. Her words hang in the air, heavy with finality. A shudder runs through me. Why not? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. Where is she? Where we all go when it gets dark, she replies, her voice eerily calm. You can stay if you want. We could have fun. A wave of nausea washes over me. I refuse to believe that Emma is lost in this nightmare. I can't let fear paralyze me. I take a step back, trying to assess the situation. I'm getting out of here, I declare, forcing the resolve into my voice. As I turn to the door again, I feel a cold breeze sweep past me, and the whispers rise to a frantic crescendo. They're coming. The girl's voice sharpens, laced with a fear that echoes my own. The door suddenly shakes, rattling against its frame, as if something is trying to force its way in. I press my back against the cold surface, my pulse quickening. I can't stay trapped in this room. I need to find a way out. With a surge of adrenaline, I shove against the door with all my strength. To my surprise, it bursts open, slamming against the wall. I stumble into the hallway, gasping for breath. The laughter echoes behind me, distant yet haunting, as I make my escape. I sprint down the corridor, the lights flickering ominously as shadows stretch and shift along the walls. The sense of being watched intensifies, and the whispers grow louder, enveloping me in their eerie embrace. Turn back, they seem to say. You don't belong here. Ignoring the feeling, I rush past the nurse's station, my mind racing. I need to find Emma. I need to know she's safe. My footsteps echo loudly in the empty hallway, and I can feel the air growing heavier with each passing second. The night has become a twisted labyrinth of uncertainty, and I am its unwitting prisoner. I reach the end of the corridor, where a large window reveals the inky darkness outside. The hospital grounds are shrouded in shadows, the moonlight barely penetrating the thick clouds. I turn to the left, heading toward the playroom, a place where laughter should reside. But as I approach, an unsettling realization creeps over me. The door is slightly ajar, just like Emma's room. I push it open, my heart racing, praying to find her safe within. I step into the playroom. The familiar sights of colorful toys and cheerful decorations feel alien in this atmosphere of dread. The room is dimly lit, shadows lurking in every corner, and for a moment, I'm overwhelmed by a sense of loss, like I've stepped into a memory that's been twisted and corrupted. Emma? I call out, my voice trembling. The silence that follows is deafening, broken only by the faint hum of the air conditioning. I scan the room, searching for any sign of her. The small table is set up with crayons and paper, untouched, as if frozen in time. Then I see it, a toy lying on the floor, a small doll with glassy eyes, its expression almost too lifelike. As I kneel to pick it up, I feel a shiver run down my spine. The doll seems to stare at me, and I can't shake the feeling that it's watching, waiting. Emma! I shout again, the urgency in my voice rising. My heart races as I turn toward the door, ready to leave this unsettling place. But as I do, the door slams shut behind me, the sound reverberating through the room like a death knell. Panic wells up inside me. No! Open up! I pound on the door, but it feels impossibly solid, like it's been bolted shut from the outside. I take a step back, fear clawing at my insides. The laughter returns, now echoing through the room, a cacophony of voices that chill me to the bone. Join us, they chant, their tones lilting and mocking. I feel a surge of despair, the shadows around me pulsing like a living entity. Emma! I scream, desperation spilling over. Where are you? The lights flicker ominously, and the shadows seem to stretch toward me, reaching with elongated fingers. I can feel them wrapping around my mind, trying to pull me into their abyss. I fight against it, forcing myself to focus. I can't succumb to fear. I need to find Emma. Let her go! I shout into the darkness, my voice ringing out defiantly. You can't keep her here. The laughter grows louder, more chaotic, and in that moment, I realize the shadows are not just empty forms, they are filled with something darker, something that hungers. My pulse quickens, and I feel an overwhelming sense of dread wash over me. I can't let them win. Suddenly, a small voice breaks through the laughter, soft yet clear. "Help me." It's Emma's voice. Relief floods through me, but it's quickly eclipsed by fear. "Emma, where are you?" I call out, my heart racing with urgency. "In the dark," she cries, and my blood runs cold. Without a second thought, I rush toward the corner of the room where the shadows seem thickest. My hands tremble as I reach out, feeling the chill of the air around me. "I'm coming, Emma. Hold on." As I push through the darkness, the whispers intensify, drowning out my thoughts. "Join us. Stay forever." They claw at my mind, desperate to pull me under. I can feel the weight of their presence, their longing to claim me as one of their own. But then, through the chaos, I see her, a small figure crouched in the corner, illuminated by a faint glow from a night light. Emma's eyes are wide with fear, her small hands clutching a blanket tightly around her. "Emma." I reach for her, but the shadows writhe around us, and the air becomes thick, almost suffocating. "You have to come with me." She shakes her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "They won't let us go." In that moment, I realize I must fight for both of us. With a surge of determination, I pull her close, feeling the warmth of her small body against mine. "We can't stay here. We have to believe we can get out." I turn to face the darkness, summoning every ounce of courage. "Let us go." I scream, my voice raw with emotion. "We are not yours." The laughter shatters into a cacophony of rage, and the shadows lurch back, momentarily retreating. "You think you can escape?" a voice hisses from the depths, cold and mocking. In that instant, I realize that this is a battle not just for our physical bodies, but for our very souls. I grip Emma's hand tightly, and together, we push through the darkness, moving toward the light, hoping against hope that we can break free from this nightmare. With Emma's hand tightly clasped in mine, I push forward, the shadows swirling around us like a storm. The laughter morphs into anguished wails, echoing off the walls, as if the very fabric of the hospital is coming alive to stop us. I can feel the cold tendrils of darkness reaching for us, but the warmth of Emma's presence ignites a fire within me. "Stay close," I shout, feeling the panic rise again. "We can do this." As we stumble through the playroom, the lights flicker violently, casting erratic shadows that dance menacingly across the walls. I can hear the whispers growing louder, almost drowning out Emma's small sobs. "They're going to take you away," they chant, their voices mingling into a dissonant chorus. We reach the door, and I push against it, my palms sweating against the cold metal. "Open. Please." I cry, desperation clawing at my throat. The door remains stubbornly shut, and I can feel the shadows closing in on us, pressing tighter, trying to separate us. "Emma, we need to find another way," I say, glancing around the room for any escape. My heart races as I spot a small window at the far end, barely large enough for us to squeeze through. "There." I lead her to the window, and as I reach for the latch, I hear a thunderous crash behind us. I turn just in time to see a mass of shadows surge forward, their forms twisting and writhing as they reach for us. "No!" I scream, flinging open the window and grasping Emma tightly. "Climb through." She hesitates, fear evident in her wide eyes, but the shadows are closing in too fast. "I can't," she whimpers, her small voice breaking. "Yes, you can," I urge, pushing her gently toward the opening. "I'll help you." I boost her up, and she climbs onto the ledge, panic flashing in her eyes as the darkness inches closer. "Go," I command, my heart racing. "I'm right behind you." With one final surge of determination, she leaps through the window, disappearing into the night. I take a deep breath, glancing back at the encroaching shadows that seem to pulse with rage. They're coming for me, and I can't let them catch me. I scramble up to the window. Just as the darkness envelopes the room, there whispers a haunting cacophony of despair. "You can't leave. You belong to us," they shriek, the sound clawing at my mind. I manage to squeeze through the window, the cold air hitting me like a shockwave. I tumble onto the grass outside, landing hard but grateful to be free of that oppressive space. "Emma," I call, my voice hoarse, as I scramble to my feet. I can see her standing a few feet away, trembling but unharmed. Relief floods through me, and I rush to her side, pulling her into a tight embrace. "We did it. We're outside," I whisper, holding her close, feeling her warmth against my body. But even as I rejoice, I can feel the shadows lingering just inside the window, waiting for the chance to reclaim what they've lost. The moon hangs high above us, casting an eerie glow on the hospital. I can still hear the whispers, faint yet insistent, curling through the air like smoke. "You can't escape," they taunt. "You'll come back." We stumble away from the building, each step feeling like a victory over the dark forces that tried to hold us captive. But I know we're not safe yet. The sense of being pursued weighs heavily in the air. "Where do we go?" Emma asks, her voice shaky. I look around, desperate for a plan. "To the front of the hospital," I reply, determination surging within me. "We need to find help. We can't stay here." As we start to move, I glance back at the hospital. The windows seem to shimmer with a life of their own, and for a brief moment, I think I see figures watching us from the darkened rooms. My breath catches in my throat. "Keep moving," I urge Emma, grabbing her hand once more. We can't look back. We race across the lawn, the cool night air rushing past us, each step pulling us further away from the nightmare we just escaped. But the laughter lingers in my ears, a chilling reminder that the shadows are not far behind. As we approach the entrance, the doors swing open, revealing the stark white interior of the hospital. A wave of familiarity hits me, but I know that this is no longer a safe haven. It has become a labyrinth of terror, a place where reality twists into the surreal. "Help!" I scream as we burst through the doors, my voice echoing in the vastness of the lobby. "We need help." The reception desk is empty, the lights flickering overhead casting a flickering glow across the space. "Where is everyone?" I mutter, fear creeping back in. But before I can ponder further, I hear the faint sound of footsteps approaching. My heart leaps with hope, but the shadows loom just behind us, an ominous presence that refuses to let go. As the footsteps grow louder, I spin around, clutching Emma's hand tightly. My heart races, torn between relief and dread. The shadows press closer, whispering dark promises that cling to my mind like a heavy fog. "You can't escape," they hiss, their voices wrapping around me like chains. Then, a figure emerges from the shadows, Dr. Wilson, the night's supervisor. His expression is unreadable, caught somewhere between confusion and concern. "What's happening?" he asks, glancing between us and the darkened corridor behind. "Dr. Wilson, you have to help us." I cry, my voice trembling with urgency. There's something wrong. Shadows, voices, they're trying to take Emma. He blinks at me, clearly bewildered. What do you mean? It's just a night shift. There's nothing. Suddenly, the lights flicker again, plunging the lobby into darkness for a heartbeat. I feel the shadows surge forward, and a chill sweeps through the air. No! I scream, panic rising in my throat. They're coming! The doctor's expression shifts, and he reaches for a flashlight on the desk. The beam cuts through the darkness, illuminating the lobby but casting ominous shadows along the walls. Stay close to me, he instructs, his voice steadying. We need to get you both to safety. We follow him as he leads us deeper into the hospital, moving through the stark hallways that now feel like a twisted maze. The whispers follow us, growing louder, their tones more frantic. You'll be ours, they chant, echoing off the sterile walls. Where's the rest of the staff? I ask, glancing around, half expecting to see someone emerge from the shadows. They should be here, Dr. Wilson replies, his voice tense. But the night shift has been strange lately. A few nurses reported feeling unwell. His eyes dart nervously, and I can see the fear brewing beneath his calm exterior. We turn a corner, and I can feel the oppressive weight of the shadows pressing down, as if the very building is alive with a malevolent force. We need to get to the emergency room, he says, urgency seeping into his voice. Just then, a loud crash echoes through the corridor behind us, and I whirl around, dread flooding my senses. The darkness seems to pulse, and the laughter crescendos, filling the air with a sinister energy. Run! Dr. Wilson commands, and we sprint down the hall, Emma close at my side. My heart pounds in my chest as we race toward the emergency room, the footsteps of the shadows echoing behind us, relentless. As we reach the doors to the ER, I glance back, the shadows now swirling violently in the hallway, a dark maelstrom that seems to be closing on us. Hurry! I shout, pushing the doors open. Inside, the fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting an eerie glow over the empty beds and equipment. This should be safe, Dr. Wilson says, locking the doors behind us. The sound of the latch clicking into place sends a wave of relief through me, but I know it won't hold them back for long. Why is this happening? Emma asks, her voice small and scared. I kneel beside her, brushing her hair back from her face. I don't know, sweetheart. But we're going to be okay. We just need to stay strong. Dr. Wilson grabs a phone from the wall, his hands trembling as he dials. I'll call for help, he mutters, but I can see the worry etched on his face. Is there any other way out? I ask, glancing around the room. The windows are too small to escape through, and the only other exit is the door we just locked. He shakes his head, frustration building. This is the safest place we have. If we can just hold out until help arrives. But even as he speaks, the lights begin to flicker again, and I can hear the low hum of laughter echoing from beyond the door. I feel a sense of impending doom wash over me. They're coming, I whisper, dread curling in my stomach. Just then, the power flickers, and the lights plunge the room into darkness, leaving only the emergency exit lights to cast an eerie glow. Stay close, Dr. Wilson shouts, his voice strained. The laughter rises to a fever pitch, drowning out our words, a chaotic symphony of madness. I grip Emma's hand tighter, pulling her closer. We can't let them take us. Suddenly, a loud bang reverberates through the room, and I jump, instinctively moving to shield Emma. The shadows seem to push against the door, testing its strength. Dr. Wilson moves toward it, his expression resolute. "Get behind me," he says, and I can see the determination in his eyes. But as he steps closer, the door rattles violently, and a cold breeze sweeps through the room, sending a shiver down my spine. We're not safe here, not anymore. The rattling of the door intensifies, echoing in the small emergency room like a death knell. I press Emma against the wall, trying to shield her from the encroaching darkness. Dr. Wilson stands firm, gripping the door handle as if his strength alone could hold back the tide of shadows. "Stay away from the door," he shouts, his voice barely piercing the chaotic laughter that fills the air. I can feel the very walls of the room vibrating with the energy of whatever is trying to break through. A loud crash sounds as something heavy strikes the door, causing it to shake violently. My heart races, and I can sense the shadows seeping into the cracks, their whispers growing louder, more insistent. "You can't escape. You belong to us," they taunt, each word dripping with malice. "We have to find another way out," I shout, scanning the room for any possible escape route. My mind races, searching for a solution, but all I can see are the sterile walls closing in, amplifying the fear. "Back to the window!" Dr. Wilson suddenly yells, abandoning the door. He rushes toward the far side of the room, and I follow, dragging Emma along. "We'll climb out if we have to." I push aside the panic threatening to consume me. "We can't leave through there. It's too high." "Better than being caught by those things," he replies urgently, glancing back at the door, which now seems to be warping under the strain. I can see shadows creeping along the floor, gathering like storm clouds. Emma grips my hand tightly, her small body trembling. "I don't want to go back in the dark," she whispers, her eyes wide with fear. "I know, but we have to trust Dr. Wilson," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "He's going to help us." Just as we reach the window, a deafening crack fills the air, and the door bursts open, the darkness surging into the room like a living wave. The shadows writhe and twist, their forms indistinct but undeniably menacing. "Now!" Dr. Wilson shouts, pushing Emma toward the window. "Climb." I lift Emma up as Dr. Wilson battles against the shadows, trying to hold them back. "Go. I'll be right behind you," I urge, desperation threading through my voice. With trembling hands, Emma grasps the window ledge, scrambling to pull herself up. "Hurry!" I call out, my heart pounding as I glance back at the growing mass of shadows that seem to pulse with hunger. Dr. Wilson grunts, straining against the darkness that encroaches on him. I see fear flicker in his eyes, and it sends a shiver down my spine. "Come on," he growls, pushing against the shadows with all his might. Finally, Emma manages to pull herself through the window, disappearing into the night beyond. "I'm here," she calls out, her voice a beacon of hope. "Almost there," I shout, my heart racing as I prepare to follow her. But as I turn to the window, the shadows surge forward, wrapping around Dr. Wilson's legs, pulling him down with a powerful force. "No!" I scream, reaching out for him, but he is trapped, his face contorted in determination and fear. "Get out!" "Now!" he shouts, the shadows swirling around him like a vortex. I hesitate, torn between helping him and saving Emma. "I can't leave you," I shout back, panic surging through me. "Don't look back. You have to save her." His voice cuts through the chaos, strong and resolute. I can see the shadows tightening their grip, his struggle growing more desperate. The urgency in his voice shatters my hesitation. I take a deep breath, forcing myself to focus. "I love you, Emma," I shout, turning toward the window. "I'm coming." With one last glance at Dr. Wilson, I leap up, climbing onto the ledge. The shadows howl in fury behind me, their cold fingers reaching for my heels. I don't look back. I can't. I scramble through the window, the cool night air hitting my face like a wave of freedom. As I land on the grass outside, I turn to see Dr. Wilson still fighting, but the shadows are closing in, and I feel a deep ache in my chest for him. "Come on, Emma," I call, grabbing her hand as she stands a few feet away, tears in her eyes. We have to run. We take off across the hospital lawn, the laughter of the shadows ringing in our ears like a taunt. I can feel their presence behind us, like a dark cloud looming, hungry for what it lost. "Where do we go?" Emma asks, glancing back nervously. "Just keep running," I urge, my heart racing. The world feels surreal, the night stretching out before us, but the darkness behind us is all too real. We dart past the building, the shadows still pursuing, twisting and writhing as they hunt us down. I can hear the whispers in my mind, urging me to stop, to turn around. But I won't give in. I refuse to let them take us. In the distance, I see the edge of the parking lot, a faint light shining from one of the cars. "There! We can hide there!" I shout, pulling Emma along as we sprint toward it. As we reach the car, I fumble with the door handle, my hands shaking. "Get inside," I urge, shoving the door open. Emma climbs in, and I follow, slamming the door shut behind us. The sound echoes in the stillness, and I can feel the adrenaline surging through me. We're safe for now, but the shadows are still there, lurking just outside, waiting for their chance to claim us. Inside the car, I take a moment to catch my breath, the weight of what just happened settling heavily on my chest. Emma curls into the corner of the back seat, her small body trembling. I glance around, my heart racing as I listen for any signs of the shadows outside. "Are they gone?" she asks, her voice barely a whisper. I can see the fear etched on her face, and it breaks my heart. "I don't know," I reply, my throat dry. I fumble with the car's interior light, fumbling to switch it on. The harsh light fills the space, illuminating our surroundings but offering no real comfort. "Mommy?" Emma's voice quivers, and I turn to her, trying to mask my own fear. "Will they come for us again?" "I don't know," I say, trying to sound brave, but my heart is pounding. "But we'll be okay. We just have to stay quiet and keep our eyes open." Outside, the night feels eerily still, a stark contrast to the chaos we just escaped. I lean forward, peering through the windshield, searching the darkness for any signs of movement. The shadows could be lurking just out of sight, waiting for the moment we let our guard down. Suddenly, a loud bang reverberates through the night, making us both jump. I whip my head around, scanning the area. "What was that?" Emma asks, her eyes wide with fear. "Stay here," I say, my voice firm. "I'm going to check." I unbuckle my seatbelt and slowly open the door, peering out into the night. The cold air hits me, and I feel a chill run down my spine. As I step outside, the darkness envelopes me. I glance around the parking lot, and for a moment, everything feels surreal, as if I've stepped into another world. The only sound is the rustling of leaves, and I strain to listen for any further noises. Then I hear it, a soft, distant whisper, floating on the wind. "Join us," it calls, echoing the voices from the hospital. My heart races as I feel the shadows pressing in, the darkness almost tangible. Emma, I call back, trying to keep my voice steady. Stay in the car. Lock the doors. I take a few cautious steps, my instincts screaming at me to turn back, but I have to know what's out there. I edge toward the source of the noise, my breath shallow, my pulse quickening. The shadows seem to swirl around the edges of the parking lot, beckoning me with a dark allure. Come play with us, they whisper, their voices seductive and cold. I shake my head, forcing myself to remember the fear in Emma's eyes. No! I shout, taking another step back. You can't have us. The laughter rises again, a cacophony of voices filled with anger and frustration. You'll never escape, they scream, and I can feel the shadows lurch forward, reaching for me. Just then, I hear a soft click behind me. I turn to see Emma peering out the window, her small face pale. Mommy, please come back, she cries, and my heart aches at the sight of her fear. Emma, stay inside. I call back, my voice urgent. But I know I can't linger much longer. I feel the shadows closing in, their presence suffocating. We have to go, I say, turning back toward the car. Now! I rush back to the door, pulling it open and sliding in beside her. Are you okay? I ask, panic filling my voice. Emma nods, but I can see her fear, her body trembling. I was scared, she whispers, her voice breaking. I know, sweetheart, I reply, my heart aching for her. But we're together, and that's what matters. I look around, my mind racing for a plan. We need to start the car, I say, my fingers trembling as I reach for the keys. If we can get out of here, we might find help. As I turn the key in the ignition, the engine sputters to life, the sound cutting through the oppressive silence. A small spark of hope ignites in my chest. Yes, I exclaim, glancing at Emma with a reassuring smile. We can do this. But as I put the car into gear, I hear a soft tapping sound against the window. I turn to see a figure standing just outside, cloaked in shadows. My breath catches in my throat as I realize it's not just any figure, it's a nurse, her face pale and drawn, eyes filled with an otherworldly hunger. Let us in, she murmurs, her voice a chilling whisper that sends a wave of fear through me. The shadows around her writhe, seeming to pulse with energy. Drive! I scream, panic surging as I feel the shadows pressing closer. Go! 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 With shaking hands, I slam the car into reverse and hit the gas. The tires screech against the pavement as I maneuver away from the nurse, who stands there, unmoving, as the darkness closes around her. As we speed out of the parking lot, the laughter and whispers fade behind us, but I know they're still there, lurking just beyond the light. We did it! I shout, relief flooding my voice as I grip the steering wheel tightly. Where are we going? Emma asks, her voice trembling. Anywhere but here, I reply, my mind racing. We'll find a safe place. The road ahead stretches out into the darkness, and as we drive into the night, I can't shake the feeling that we're not truly free. The shadows may have retreated for now, but I know they will follow us, always just out of sight, waiting for the moment to strike again. The night wraps around us like a suffocating blanket as I navigate the dark, empty roads. Emma sits quietly in the back seat, her small frame illuminated by the dim glow of the dashboard. I can see the worry etched on her face, a reflection of my own. The car's headlights pierce the darkness, but the shadows feel omnipresent, lurking just beyond the reach of light. Are we safe now? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. I glance in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the nurse or the swirling darkness behind us, but the road is clear. For now, I reply, forcing a reassuring smile. We just need to keep moving. The silence in the car is heavy, punctuated only by the sound of the engine humming steadily. I focus on the road ahead, but my mind races with thoughts of what we just escaped. The image of the nurse's face, pale and hungry, haunts me, her voice echoing in my mind. Let us in. What happened back there? Emma's question breaks the tension, pulling me from my thoughts. I'm not sure, I admit, my voice shaky. Something's wrong at the hospital. I think it's more than just the night shift. Do you think they'll come for us again? She asks, fear creeping back into her voice. I don't know, I say, my heart heavy. But we'll figure it out together. I promise. As I drive, I scan the darkened surroundings, searching for any sign of a familiar landmark. The road feels endless, twisting and turning as I try to find a way to safety. A sense of urgency grips me. We need to find help. Mommy, I'm tired, Emma murmurs, her voice small. I know, sweetie, I reply, my heart aching. Just a little longer. We'll find a place to rest soon. Finally, I spot a sign for a gas station up ahead, its neon lights flickering in the darkness like a beacon of hope. Look! There's a gas station. I exclaim, my spirits lifting slightly. I pull into the lot, the gravel crunching beneath the tires. The place is eerily quiet, but the lights are on, casting a warm glow that feels inviting. I kill the engine and turn to Emma. Stay close to me, okay? We're going to go inside and see if anyone's here. Okay, she replies, her voice shaky but determined. I take a deep breath, steeling myself as I step out of the car, holding her hand tightly in mine. As we approach the entrance, the fluorescent lights flicker, making my heart skip a beat. I push the door open, the bell above chiming softly as we step inside. The air is stale, the smell of coffee lingering, but the store appears empty. Hello? I call out, my voice echoing in the silence. Is anyone here? No answer. The shelves are stocked with snacks and drinks, but the place feels abandoned, as if time has stopped. A cold chill runs down my spine. Emma, stay right by me, I whisper, scanning the aisles for any signs of life. We move deeper into the store, my senses heightened. Maybe someone's in the back, I suggest, hoping to find help. As we reach the end of the aisle, I spot a flickering light coming from the bathroom. Let's check there, I say, leading Emma toward it. I can feel the tension building again, the familiar sensation of being watched creeping back in. Mommy, I don't like this, Emma whispers, her grip tightening on my hand. Neither do I, but we need to be brave, I reply, my voice steady. I knock gently on the bathroom door. Hello? Is anyone there? Silence. I push the door open, my heart racing. The bathroom is empty, the flickering light illuminating the cracked tiles and dirty floor. See? Just a bathroom, I say, forcing a smile to reassure Emma, but my mind races with unease. Then, from the corner of my eye, I catch a glimpse of movement in the reflection of the mirror. My heart stops as I turn to look, but there's nothing there. Just shadows lurking in the corners, mocking me. Mommy? Emma's voice trembles as she pulls closer to me. Let's go back to the main area, I say, my voice strained. We can find help. As we step out of the bathroom, I hear a sound, a soft, almost imperceptible rustle from the back of the store. My heart races, and I freeze, instinctively pulling Emma close. Did you hear that? I whisper, my eyes scanning the shadows. Before she can respond, the sound grows louder, more frantic, and I see a figure darting past the back exit. My breath catches. Who's there? I call out, my voice echoing in the stillness. A figure steps into the light, an employee, disheveled and wide-eyed. You shouldn't be here, they exclaim, their voice laced with panic. They're coming. What do you mean? I ask, confusion and fear rising within me. Please, you need to leave. The shadows, they're everywhere. The employee gestures frantically toward the back exit, eyes darting nervously. Shadows? I echo, my heart pounding. Yes. They're drawn to fear. You have to go now. Emma clutches my hand tighter, her eyes wide with fear. Mommy, I'm scared. Okay, we'll leave, I say, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. But we can't go out there without a plan. The employee looks frantic, glancing over their shoulder. There's a car out back. It might still work. You can get away. Let's go. I grab Emma's hand, ready to follow, but a chill sweeps through the air, and I hear the whispers again, louder this time. You can't escape. You belong to us. The shadows gather at the entrance, dark tendrils reaching inside. No! I shout, stepping back instinctively, panic surging through me. We can't let them take us. Quick! This way, the employee urges, darting toward the back of the store. I follow closely, dragging Emma behind me as we rush past the aisles, the darkness closing in around us. We burst through the back door into the cold night air, and I take a moment to catch my breath, scanning the area for the car. Where is it? I demand, fear gripping me. Over there, the employee points, and I see an old sedan parked in the shadows, its headlights dim but intact. Come on! I shout, pulling Emma along. The shadows surge behind us, their whispers a chilling echo that fills my mind with dread. We reach the car, and I fumble for the door handle, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Hurry! I shout, throwing the door open and helping Emma inside before I jump in myself. As I start the engine, the car sputters to life, and I can hear the shadows creeping closer, their presence suffocating. Go! 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 I shout, slamming the car into gear and tearing away from the gas station, the gravel crunching beneath the tires. We speed away into the night, leaving the flickering lights of the gas station behind, but I know we're not free yet. The shadows lurk in the darkness, a constant reminder that this nightmare is far from over. As we speed away from the gas station, my heart pounds in my chest, each beat a reminder of the danger we just escaped. Emma sits in the back, her wide eyes reflecting both fear and exhaustion. I steal glances at her through the rearview mirror, silently pleading that she remains calm. Where are we going? She finally asks, her voice trembling. Anywhere but here, I reply, gripping the steering wheel tightly. The road stretches out ahead, but I feel the weight of the shadows closing in, even in the confines of the car. I glance at the speedometer, and a wave of guilt washes over me. I'm sorry, Emma. I know this is scary. I just want to keep you safe. She nods, her small face pale. What if they find us? I swallow hard, fighting the wave of fear threatening to overwhelm me. They won't, I say firmly, even though doubt lingers in the back of my mind. We're going to keep driving until we find a safe place. The road ahead is dimly lit, surrounded by dense trees that loom like silent watchers in the night. My headlights cut through the darkness, but I can't shake the feeling that something is out there, following us, waiting for the right moment to strike. Look! Emma suddenly points out the window, her voice rising with excitement. Is that a house? I squint into the darkness, and there it is, a faint outline of a house nestled among the trees, its porch light flickering. It might be a good place to stop, I say, hope surging within me. We can see if anyone's home. As we pull up to the house, I park the car on the gravel driveway. The structure is old, the paint peeling and the windows dark, but it feels like a lifeline. Stay close, okay? I tell Emma as I unbuckle my seatbelt. Okay, she whispers, her tiny hand gripping mine as we step outside. The chill in the air sends shivers down my spine, but I push the fear aside. We approach the front door, and I knock lightly, the sound echoing in the stillness. Hello? I call out, hoping someone is inside. Silence. I knock again, a bit harder this time. Is anyone home? Still nothing. I take a deep breath, preparing to turn away when I hear a rustling sound from inside. My heart races as I knock one last time. Please, we need help. Finally, the door creaks open, revealing an elderly woman with wild gray hair and weary eyes. What do you want? She asks, her voice gruff and cautious. Please, I plead, desperation flooding my voice. We're in trouble. Can we come inside? She eyes us warily, glancing at Emma, who clings to my side. What kind of trouble? Shadows, they're after us, I say, struggling to find the right words. Something's wrong at the hospital. We escaped, but I don't know how long we'll be safe. The woman's expression softens slightly, and she steps aside. All right. Come in, but keep your voices down. We hurry inside, the warmth of the house wrapping around us like a comforting embrace. The interior is cluttered but cozy, filled with mismatched furniture and the scent of something sweet baking in the oven. Thank you, I whisper as I usher Emma inside. You don't know how much this means to us. Sit down, the woman says, gesturing toward a small table in the corner. I'll get you both some water. I help Emma into a chair and take a seat beside her, the weight of our ordeal pressing down. What's your name? I ask the woman as she fills 2 glasses from a pitcher. Margaret, she replies, setting the glasses down. Now tell me what's going on. I take a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts. I'm a nurse at the hospital. I was working the night shift when strange things started happening. Patients were acting weird, and then I pause, the memories flooding back. Then we found ourselves trapped, and there were shadows. They were alive, almost. Margaret's brow furrows as she listens intently. Shadows? You're not the first to mention them. What do you mean? I ask, my pulse quickening. There have been stories, she says, her voice lowering. People disappearing, whispers in the dark. You think you're the first to feel it? My stomach drops. What do you mean? People have been drawn to that hospital for years. They say it's cursed. I shake my head, trying to process her words. But we're not safe here, are we? What if they find us? Margaret leans in closer, her eyes narrowing. You need to understand. The shadows feed on fear and despair. If they sense you're scared, they'll come. You have to stay strong. Emma shifts in her seat, her small hand still gripping mine. Mommy, I'm scared, she whispers. Me too, sweetie, I admit, my heart aching for her. But we're together, and that's what matters. Margaret nods, a hint of determination flashing in her eyes. You have to find a way to fight back. You can't let them win. As I look around the room, I feel a flicker of hope. But how? I don't even know what they are. There are ways, Margaret says, her voice steady. You have to face them. Find the source of their power, and you may find a way to stop them. I swallow hard, the weight of her words settling in. But where do we start? The hospital, she replies, her gaze unwavering. You have to return and confront whatever is haunting it. You won't be able to run forever. The thought sends a shiver down my spine, but I can see the resolve in her eyes. If there's any chance to end this nightmare, it lies in facing the darkness head on. As I nod, preparing to make a plan, the shadows outside whisper their promise, waiting, watching. I can't shake the feeling that our battle is far from over. The air thickens with tension as I process Margaret's words. The hospital. The very place I thought we had escaped from now looms as our only hope. Are you sure about this? I ask, my voice trembling slightly. What if we go back and it's worse? Margaret leans forward, her eyes sharp and serious. If you don't confront this, it will follow you wherever you go. Shadows are persistent. They thrive on fear, and they know you're scared. I glance at Emma, who sits quietly, her eyes wide and frightened. But how do we fight something we don't even understand? Margaret stands, her movements deliberate. Sometimes understanding isn't the answer. Sometimes you just need to confront it head on. You'll need something to protect yourselves. What do you suggest? I ask, a mix of curiosity and apprehension flooding through me. Salt, she replies simply. It's an old remedy for warding off evil. It disrupts their power. And you'll need something personal, something to anchor yourselves to reality. Emma looks up at me, her brow furrowed. What does that mean, Mommy? It means we'll need to find things that remind us of who we are, I explain gently. Things that make us feel safe. Margaret nods, moving toward a small cabinet. I have some salt stored away. And you might find some trinkets around here that can help. As she rummages through the cabinet, I feel the weight of the decision settling in. I don't want to put Emma in danger, I murmur, glancing at my daughter, who is watching Margaret with wide, curious eyes. Mommy, I want to help, Emma insists, her voice strong despite the fear that lingers. I take a deep breath, trying to muster the courage. Okay, I say, forcing a smile. But we have to promise to stick together no matter what. Margaret returns with a small bag filled with salt and a few odd trinkets, a tiny wooden owl, a smooth stone, and an old locket. These can be your anchors, she says, placing them on the table. You can use them to focus your strength. I pick up the locket, feeling its cool surface in my palm. What's inside? It belonged to my daughter, Margaret replies, her voice softening. It's a reminder of the love that can conquer fear. I nod, clutching it tightly. Thank you. Now, you need to prepare yourself, she says, her voice resolute. You should rest while you can. The journey ahead will be difficult. I help Emma out of her chair, leading her toward a small couch in the corner of the room. Let's rest for a bit, I say, pulling a blanket over her. We'll need our strength. Emma snuggles into the couch, her eyes drooping as she fights sleep. Stay with me, Mommy, she whispers, and I settle beside her, wrapping my arm around her shoulders. As she drifts off, I can't help but wonder what waits us at the hospital. The images of the shadows, the nurse, the whispers, they all swirl in my mind like a storm. I close my eyes, trying to clear my thoughts, but sleep eludes me. Hours pass, and the house remains eerily quiet. I open my eyes to find Margaret sitting across the room, her gaze fixed on the door as if expecting something. What is it? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. I can feel them, she replies, her voice low. They know you're here. Fear surges through me, and I look back at Emma, who is still peacefully asleep. We have to leave, then, I say urgently. No, Margaret says firmly. You need to stay put. If they're out there, moving could make things worse. We'll wait for the right moment. I nod, trying to calm my racing heart. The shadows outside whisper their haunting song, and I feel their presence pressing against the walls, seeking a way in. Suddenly, a loud bang echoes from outside, making both Margaret and me jump. What was that? I gasp, adrenaline surging through my veins. They're testing the boundaries, Margaret replies, her voice tense. We need to stay strong. I hold Emma tighter, feeling her warmth against me, and take a deep breath. We can do this, I whisper to myself. We have to do this. As the banging continues, the shadows start to swirl around the edges of the room, creeping toward us like living smoke. Hold on to your anchors, Margaret instructs, clutching the wooden nail tightly. I grip the locket, feeling the familiar weight of it in my palm, and focus on the love it represents. We're not afraid, I say aloud, my voice steadying. Not afraid, Emma echoes, sleepily stirring beside me. Good, Margaret says, her eyes fierce. Remember that. The moment you feel fear, you must hold on tighter. With every bang against the door, the shadows grow thicker, their whispers rising to a fever pitch. Join us, come play with us, they chant, their voices seductive and chilling. I close my eyes, pushing against the darkness. We won't join you. I shout, the strength of my words surprising even me. We belong to ourselves. The shadows recoil momentarily, but the banging intensifies, the door rattling on its hinges. They won't stop, Margaret warns. We have to be ready. I nod, the weight of the moment settling heavily on my shoulders. We are on the brink of something terrifying, but in that fear, I find a flicker of determination. We will confront whatever is waiting for us, together. As I hold Emma close, I can feel the shadows gathering, but I refuse to let them take us. We are stronger than they think, and no amount of darkness can extinguish the light we carry within us. The shadows pulse and writhe at the edges of the room, a living, breathing entity intent on consuming us. The whispers grow louder, more insistent, swirling around us like a malevolent fog. Join us, surrender. I tighten my grip on Emma, who stirs slightly, her eyelids fluttering as if the darkness is calling her to sleep. No, I whisper fiercely. Stay awake, sweetheart. We need to be strong. Margaret rises, her presence commanding. We need to fight back. Use the salt. She moves toward the door, positioning herself as a barrier between us and the impending threat. Are you sure that will work? I ask, my voice laced with uncertainty. It's our only chance, she replies, determination etched on her face. We have to create a barrier. They can't cross Salt. With shaking hands, I take the bag of salt from the table and move to the door, pouring a line across the threshold. The whispers shift into frantic hisses as the salt touches the ground, pushing the shadows back momentarily. They don't like that, I murmur, a flicker of hope igniting within me. Good, Margaret encourages, her eyes darting toward the door. Keep going. We need to seal the windows too. I nod, urgency propelling me. I rush to the nearest window, pouring salt across the sill, feeling the cold night air brushing against my skin. The whispers fade slightly, and I catch a glimpse of the outside world, dark and foreboding. Mommy, I don't want to stay here. Emma whimpers, her voice filled with fear. We'll be okay, baby, I promise, my heart aching at her distress. Just a little longer. I finish sealing the last window, my hands trembling as I pour the last of the salt. I return to the door, standing next to Margaret, who has her arms crossed defiantly. We'll hold them off as long as we can, she says. But we need a plan to get to the hospital. How do we even get past them? I ask, fear creeping back into my voice. The shadows feed on fear, Margaret replies. If we can distract them, we can make a run for it. But you must be ready to face whatever is inside the hospital. You can't let them control your mind. The door rattles violently, and the whispers rise to a cacophony, a chaotic chorus pleading and taunting. Let us in. Don't you want to join us? No. I shout, feeling a surge of defiance. We're not afraid of you. The shadows pause for a moment, as if taken aback by my sudden courage. I glance at Emma, who is clutching the locket tightly, her eyes shining with resolve. We're strong, she whispers, echoing my earlier words. Yes, we are, I say, feeling a newfound sense of power coursing through me. We can do this together. All right, here's the plan, Margaret says, her voice steady. We'll create a distraction. I'll draw their attention while you both make a run for the car. But what if they come after you? I ask, panic rising. They'll focus on me. I'll be all right as long as you hold onto your anchors, she assures me. Just remember, no fear. With a heavy heart, I nod, understanding the risk we're about to take. Okay. On the count of 3, we go. 1, 2, 3. I push open the door, the shadows immediately surging forward, hungry for the darkness that has cloaked their intentions. This way. Margaret calls, drawing their attention as she dashes to the side, waving her arms. Go! Now! I shout, grabbing Emma's hand and sprinting toward the car. The shadows lash out, their tendrils curling and snapping at our heels. I can feel their icy breath against my skin, urging me to turn back, but I keep running, focused on the vehicle ahead. Mommy, I'm scared. Emma cries, her small feet struggling to keep pace. Just a little further. I urge, my heart pounding as we reach the car. I pull the door open and help Emma inside, glancing back to see Margaret still drawing the shadows away from us. Get in! I shout, sliding into the driver's seat and fumbling with the keys. My hands are shaking, but I manage to turn the ignition. The engine sputters to life, and I can hear Margaret's voice echoing in my mind. Hold your anchors. As I slam the car into gear, the shadows twist and writhe in the doorway, their whispers turning to angry shouts. You can't leave. You belong to us. I press the gas pedal, and the car lunges forward, leaving the gas station behind as I speed down the winding road. The shadows seem to dissipate in the rearview mirror, but I know they're still lurking, waiting for an opportunity to strike. We did it! Emma exclaims, her voice a mixture of relief and disbelief. Yeah, we did, I reply, my heart still racing as I focus on the road ahead. But we have to stay alert. This isn't over. The night stretches on, the trees passing in a blur as we drive deeper into the darkness. I can't shake the feeling that we're still being watched. What's next, Mommy? Emma asks, her voice small. I take a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts. We're going back to the hospital, I say, my resolve firming. We have to confront whatever is causing this. Emma nods, her expression serious. Together? Always together, I promise, squeezing her hand. As we continue down the road, I can feel the shadows lurking in the corners of my mind, their whispers a constant reminder of the terror we just escaped. But I know we are stronger than they think. We have each other, and that bond will guide us through the darkness ahead. The drive to the hospital feels endless, each turn in the road amplifying the tension in the car. I glance at Emma, who is now quiet, her little face set with determination. It's almost as if she understands the gravity of our situation. What if they're waiting for us? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. I swallow hard, the thought tightening my chest. If they are, we'll be ready, I reply, trying to sound more confident than I feel. We have our anchors. And we're not alone. As we approach the hospital, its towering structure looms in the distance, the flickering lights of the emergency exit cutting through the darkness like a beacon. But instead of safety, it feels more like a siren's call, luring us back into the depths of despair. Mommy, I don't want to go back, Emma says, her voice trembling. I know, sweetie. But we have to. We need to find out what's happening, I respond, my grip tightening on the steering wheel. I pull into the parking lot, my heart racing as I glance around. The shadows of the hospital cast eerie shapes under the pale streetlights, and I can't shake the feeling that something is watching us. Stay close, I remind Emma as we step out of the car. Together, we walk toward the entrance, the cool night air wrapping around us like a shroud. Each step feels heavy, the weight of dread pressing down on me. I remember Margaret's words, hold on to your anchors. I clutch the locket in my pocket, its cool metal a reassuring presence against my skin. Inside, the familiar sterile scent of antiseptic fills my nostrils, a sharp contrast to the fear simmering beneath the surface. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting a harsh glare on the empty corridors. Where is everyone? Emma asks, her small voice echoing in the silence. I don't know, I admit, unease creeping in. But we need to stay vigilant. As we move deeper into the hospital, the atmosphere shifts. The air grows colder, the shadows lengthening and stretching as if they're alive. I glance back at Emma, who walks beside me, her face pale but resolute. Stay strong, I whisper. We reach the nurse's station, and I instinctively check the board for any signs of activity. But everything is eerily still. This doesn't feel right, I murmur, scanning the area. Mommy, can we leave? Emma's voice quivers, her eyes darting nervously. I hesitate, torn between the need to protect her and the necessity of uncovering the truth. Just a little longer, Emma, I say softly, moving toward the patient rooms. Each door we pass seems to hold its own secrets, and I feel an unshakable urge to peek inside. We need to find a patient who can tell us what happened, I say, but deep down, I dread what we might find. The first room is empty, the bed made neatly as if no one has occupied it for days. "It's just a hospital room," I tell Emma, but the words feel hollow. The next room holds a patient, an elderly man lying still, his face pale and gaunt. I step closer, examining him closely. "Hello? Can you hear me?" I ask, but he doesn't respond. "Mommy," he looks weird, Emma whispers, her voice trembling. "Shoo," I caution, glancing back at the door. "I'm just checking." But as I look back, I notice something unsettling, a shadow flickering at the edge of my vision, moving on its own. "Did you see that?" I murmur, my heart racing. "See what?" Emma asks, her eyes wide with confusion. "Nothing," I say quickly, forcing a smile. "Let's keep moving." We leave the room, and I can't shake the feeling that the shadows are closing in again. I lead Emma further down the corridor, my heart pounding with each step. Suddenly, I hear a soft whispering, a familiar cadence that sends chills down my spine. "Come closer, stay with us." "Mommy, what's that?" Emma asks, her voice quaking. "Just ignore it," I urge, but the whispers grow louder, the shadows thickening around us. We have to find the source. Keep your anchor close. We reach a break room, and I hesitate at the door. "Let's check in here," I suggest. As I push the door open, the dim light flickers, revealing a scene that makes my stomach churn. The room is filled with scattered papers, a coffee cup tipped over, and the faint smell of something rancid. But what catches my attention is the wall, covered in scribbles and drawings, chaotic sketches of faces twisted in agony, surrounded by dark, swirling shapes. "What happened here?" I whisper, stepping closer. "Mommy, it's scary," Emma exclaims, her small hands gripping my shirt. I scan the drawings, the disturbing images resonating with the whispers I heard earlier. These look like the patients," I murmur, the realization dawning on me. They were trying to warn us. Suddenly, the door slams shut behind us, cutting off our escape. I whirl around, panic rising. "What's happening?" I shout. The shadows shift, swirling around the room like a storm, the whispers intensifying into a deafening roar. "You can't leave. You belong to us. Hold on to your anchors." I shout, grabbing the locket from my pocket and clutching it tightly. We are not afraid. The shadows pause, the cacophony dimming slightly. "You think you can resist? You will be ours." "No!" I scream, the sound piercing through the darkness. "We are stronger than you." Emma clings to me, her small body trembling but resolute. "Mommy, don't let them take us." "I won't," I promise, determination surging through me. "We will fight." As the shadows inch closer, I take a deep breath, focusing on the love and strength I feel for Emma. "Together," I shout, feeling the locket pulse in my hand. With one swift motion, I throw a handful of salt into the swirling darkness. The shadows recoil, hissing and thrashing as the salt disrupts their form. "Now!" I yell, grabbing Emma's hand. We bolt toward the door, pushing against the force that threatens to hold us back. The whispers turn to frantic cries, a mix of anger and desperation as we make our escape. The door bursts open, and we stumble out into the hallway, panting and wide-eyed. "Run!" I shout, pulling Emma with me as we race down the corridor, the shadows thrashing behind us. Every step feels like a battle against an unseen force, but I can feel the locket's warmth guiding me forward. We weave through the empty halls, the oppressive darkness closing in, but I refuse to look back. "Mommy, where are we going?" Emma cries, her breath coming in quick gasps. "Anywhere but here," I reply, urgency propelling us forward. We burst into the main lobby, and I spot the exit ahead, a glimmer of light breaking through the heavy shadows. "That way," I shout, pushing through the door and out into the night. As we step outside, the chill air hits us like a wave, and I take a moment to catch my breath. But the sense of safety is fleeting. I can feel the shadows lingering just beyond the threshold. "Mommy, what now?" Emma asks, her voice small and shaky. "We regroup," I say, scanning the parking lot. "And then we find a way to stop them for good." The shadows retreat slightly, as if waiting for us to make our next move. I can't let them take us again. We have to confront this evil once and for all. The night air is thick with tension as I take a moment to regroup outside the hospital. I can still feel the shadows lurking, their presence a constant reminder of the danger we've narrowly escaped. "We need to get to the car," I tell Emma, urgency driving my words. We dash across the parking lot, the crunch of gravel underfoot sounding far too loud in the stillness. Every shadow that flickers catches my eye, every sound amplifying my anxiety. I glance over my shoulder, half expecting to see the darkness closing in. There it is. I point to our car, its silhouette standing out against the dim lighting. "Keep close." As we reach the vehicle, I fumble for the keys in my pocket, my fingers shaking. Come on," I mutter under my breath, heart racing. Finally, I find them and unlock the door, ushering Emma inside before I slide in beside her. "Mommy, I don't want to go back in there," she cries, her voice trembling. "I know, baby. But we have to find a way to stop them," I say, my resolve hardening. I grip the steering wheel tightly, glancing back toward the hospital, its darkened windows like unblinking eyes watching us. I turn the ignition, and the car hums to life. "We can't stay here," I say firmly. "We need to find answers." As I pull out of the parking lot, I can feel the shadows swirling in my mind, their whispers rising to a fevered pitch. "You can't escape us. We will find you." "Mommy!" Emma cries, her fear palpable. "Focus on the locket, Emma," I urge, my own heart racing. "Remember what Margaret said." The words echo in my mind as I drive through the darkened streets. "You belong to us," the shadows chant, their voices intertwining with the sounds of the night. "We're not afraid." I shout, my voice rising above the whispers. "We'll find a way to break this." The shadows pulse around us, but I push forward, my mind racing with thoughts of the hospital and its secrets. "We need to go back to where it all started," I say, determination igniting within me. "The patient records, they might hold the key." Emma nods, her expression fierce. "Together," she says, her small voice steadying me. I steer the car back toward the hospital, my heart pounding with each passing moment. "We'll go in, grab what we need, and get out," I reassure her. "Just stay close, and remember to hold onto your anchor." As we pull into the parking lot again, the shadows seem to retreat slightly, as if sensing our resolve. "This time, we're prepared," I murmur, gripping the locket tightly. We exit the car, the oppressive atmosphere wrapping around us like a cloak. "Ready?" I ask Emma, who nods bravely. Together, we make our way inside, the familiar antiseptic smell hitting us as we step back into the hospital's depths. The lights flicker overhead, and the shadows skitter at the edges of our vision, but I hold my ground. We're not afraid, I remind myself, pushing forward. The nurse's station is deserted, the silence echoing around us. This way, I whisper, leading Emma toward the records room, my heart racing with each step. The door creaks open, revealing a room cluttered with files and papers. Help me look, I say, my voice low but urgent. We need anything related to the recent patients. Emma nods, her small hands rifling through the papers while I scan the shelves, looking for anything that might stand out. Time feels like it's slipping away, and the whispers begin to rise again, their insidious tone seeping into my thoughts. You won't find what you're looking for, it's too late. No! I shout, clenching my fists. We're going to find it. Suddenly, Emma gasps. Mommy, look. She holds up a file, its label partially torn but still legible, patient discharges. My heart races as I take the file from her, flipping it open. Inside, I find the names of patients, dates of admission and discharge, but what catches my eye is the mention of a specific treatment, a procedure that seems to have had strange side effects. Listen to this, I say, reading aloud. Patients reported hallucinations, dark figures, voices. They were all treated in the same wing. The dark wing, Emma whispers, her eyes wide. Yes, I reply, the realization hitting me hard. That's where we need to go. But as I continue to read, the shadows swirl closer, their whispers drowning out my thoughts. You shouldn't have come back. We warned you. We're stronger than you. I shout, clutching the file tightly. We won't let you control us. Emma's grip on the locket tightens, and I can see the determination in her eyes. What do we do now, Mommy? I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. We face them, I say, my voice steady. We go to the dark wing and confront whatever is there. As we make our way out of the records room, the shadows close in, a tangible force pressing against us. You can't escape your fate, they hiss, their voices rising in a terrifying crescendo. Keep moving. I shout, pulling Emma along as we navigate the dimly lit corridors, the fear clawing in my chest. We reach the entrance to the dark wing, a heavy door standing ominously before us. This is it, I say, my heart pounding. We need to go in. Emma hesitates, glancing back toward the shadows swirling in the hallway. What if they get us? They won't, I assure her, squeezing her hand. We have our anchors. We are not alone. With a deep breath, I push the door open, the creaking sound echoing in the silence. The hallway beyond is cloaked in darkness, the air thick with a sense of dread. Stay close, and remember. No fear, Emma finishes, her voice steady. Together, we step inside, the shadows closing around us like a living wall. The whispers intensify, a cacophony of voices beckoning us to join them, to succumb to the darkness. You can't resist. But we press on, the locket shining in my grip, a beacon of hope against the encroaching night. We'll find the truth, I say, my voice firm. And we'll fight back. As we delve deeper into the dark wing, I can feel the shadows gathering, their presence palpable, but I refuse to back down. We have come too far, and I won't let fear dictate our fate. We are stronger than the darkness. We will uncover the secrets that lie within and put an end to this nightmare once and for all. The air grows heavier as we step deeper into the dark wing, each passing moment amplifying the sense of foreboding that clings to us like a second skin. The corridor is narrow, with peeling paint and flickering lights that cast grotesque shadows on the walls. I grip Emma's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of her small fingers grounding me amidst the encroaching darkness. "Where do we go now?" Emma asks, her voice trembling slightly. "We need to find the treatment room mentioned in the file," I say, forcing myself to stay calm. "It has to be somewhere down this corridor." As we move forward, the whispers grow louder, a haunting melody weaving through the air. "You can't escape. Join us. Embrace the darkness." "Ignore them," I urge, my heart racing. We have to stay focused. We pass several doors, each one closed and seemingly untouched. I hesitate, glancing at the nearest one. "Should we check in here?" "Mommy, I don't want to," Emma whispers, glancing back at the growing shadows. "Just a quick look, I promise," my curiosity piquing despite the fear thrumming in my chest. I approach the door and push it open. Inside, the room is dimly lit, filled with medical equipment covered in dust. Old charts line the walls, and the air smells stale. I step inside cautiously, scanning the area for anything useful. "Look for anything that might help," I say, but I can't shake the feeling that something is off. Emma edges into the room, her wide eyes darting around. "It's creepy, Mommy." I nod, but I can't resist examining the charts. "This looks like an old treatment record. Wait." I squint at a particularly faded document, heart racing as I read about an experimental procedure, one that was conducted right here, in this very wing. Suddenly, the whispers crescendo, echoing off the walls. "You shouldn't be here. You will regret this." "Let's go, Emma," I say, feeling a surge of panic. I quickly move to the door, but it slams shut just as we reach it, a dark force pushing against it. "No!" I shout, pulling on the handle, but it won't budge. The shadows swirl in the corners of the room, their whispers turning into a sinister chant. "You belong to us." "Mommy!" Emma cries, panic rising in her voice. "Hold on to the locket." I shout, turning back to face the shadows. I take a deep breath and channel my fear into anger. "You won't take us." With every ounce of strength, I throw myself against the door, pushing with all my might. "Let us out!" I scream, feeling the shadows pulse against the wood. The door shudders but remains locked. I look around frantically, desperate for a way out. My eyes land on a nearby window, dusty and sealed shut. "We can break the window!" I shout, pointing toward it. "Okay." Emma nods, her determination shining through her fear. We rush toward the window, but the shadows swirl faster, coiling around us like a suffocating blanket. "You cannot escape. This is where you belong." I feel their presence pressing in, suffocating me. "We're not afraid." I yell again, slamming my fist against the window frame. "Help us, Margaret. We need you." As if in response, a light flickers in the darkness, illuminating the room momentarily. "Focus, remember the light," a voice echoes, a reassuring whisper that cuts through the chaos. "Mommy, the locket!" Emma exclaims, pointing. I pull the locket from my pocket, holding it up high. Its warmth radiates through my fingers, pushing back the shadows for just a moment. "Together!" I shout as I press it against the window. "We won't be taken." The shadows hiss, retreating slightly as the light intensifies. "You can't resist," they murmur, their voices twisting with frustration. "Now!" I shout, and with a forceful shove, I slam the locket against the window pane. The glass shatters with a deafening crack, scattering shards across the floor. "Go!" I urge, pulling Emma through the opening. We scramble outside, landing on the ground with a thud, the cool air hitting us like a wave of relief. We made it! Emma exclaims, breathless. Not yet, I say, scanning our surroundings. We're outside the dark wing now, but the shadows loom just inside the broken window, their whispers still haunting us. We have to keep moving. I grab Emma's hand, and we sprint down the corridor, the darkness at our backs threatening to overtake us. Each step feels like a race against time as the whispers follow us, insistent and demanding. You can't escape us. You will come back. We will never go back. I shout defiantly, my heart pounding. We're going to find the truth. As we reach the main lobby, I can see the exit ahead, but a wave of shadows blocks our path. You can't leave, they hiss, their voices the chilling echo. Mommy, what do we do? Emma asks, fear flooding her voice. We fight. I shout, the determination rising in me once more. I look around, searching for anything we can use. My eyes land on a fire extinguisher mounted on the wall. Hold on! I yell, rushing over it and grabbing it. Mommy, what are you going to do? Emma watches, wide-eyed. We're going to create a barrier, I explain, feeling the adrenaline surge through me. I squeeze the handle, and a powerful blast of foam erupts from the extinguisher, filling the air with a white cloud. The shadows screech, their forms swirling as the foam touches them. No! You cannot resist. Keep moving. I shout, guiding Emma through the haze. The foam disrupts their advance, giving us just enough time to push through to the exit. We burst outside, panting and gasping for air. We did it! Emma cries, relief washing over her. But the moment is short-lived. The shadows gather at the entrance, their whispers now frantic. You can't escape your fate. Get in the car. I shout, urgency flooding my voice. We scramble inside, and I slam the door shut, the darkness pressing against the windows. Drive, Mommy! Emma urges, her eyes wide with fear. I turn the key in the ignition, my hand shaking. Please, please work, I mutter as the engine roars to life. I put the car in gear and speed out of the parking lot, leaving the shadows behind, at least for now. As we race down the road, I can still feel their presence lurking in the corners of my mind, their whispers echoing in the silence. You can't hide from us. You belong to us. Mommy, are we safe? Emma asks, her voice trembling. For now, I reply, but I know the fight is far from over. We need to find a way to stop them for good. Together, she asks, her small hand resting on the locket. Always together, I promise, my heart heavy but determined. As we drive into the night, I can't shake the feeling that the shadows will come for us again. But I know one thing, we will face them together, and this time, we won't be afraid. The road ahead stretches into the darkness, illuminated only by the headlights of our car. I grip the steering wheel tightly, every muscle in my body tense. The night feels alive with unseen threats, shadows swirling just out of reach. Emma's small voice breaks the silence. Mommy, what if they follow us? I glance at her, the fear evident in her eyes. They might try, I say, keeping my voice steady. But we have the locket. We have our strength. Her fingers curl around the locket, and I can see the determination in her gaze. We'll fight, right? Absolutely, I reply, my heart swelling with pride. We'll find a way to end this. The car's engine hums beneath us, but the weight of our experience lingers. I can still hear the whispers, faint but persistent, echoing in my mind. You belong to us. I shake my head, forcing the thoughts away. We need to find a safe place, I say, glancing at the road signs. Somewhere we can think and regroup. Emma nods, her expression turning serious. What about the diner? The one down the road? Good idea, I say, remembering the small, 24-hour diner we passed earlier. It feels like a sanctuary, a place where we can catch our breath and plan our next move. As we pull into the diner's parking lot, I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the shadows lift slightly. The neon sign flickers, casting a warm glow that feels inviting amidst the oppressive darkness. Let's go, I say, and we both step out of the car, the cool night air refreshing after our harrowing experience. The bell jingles as we enter, the familiar smell of coffee and fried food enveloping us. The diner is nearly empty, save for a few late-night patrons scattered around. I spot a booth in the corner and lead Emma toward it, taking a seat opposite her. Stay close, I remind her, glancing around to assess the surroundings. The diner feels safe, but I know better than to let my guard down. As we sit down, I notice the waitress approaching, her tired eyes softening as she sees us. What can I get you too? She asks, her voice warm. Just some coffee for me, please. And hot chocolate for her, I reply, forcing a smile. Coming right up, she says, moving away to fill our order. Emma looks around, her curiosity piqued. Do you think they'll come here? I shake my head. Not if we stay focused. Let's talk about what we found in the records. Okay. She leans in, her voice a whisper. What did it say again? I pull the file from my bag, placing it on the table. It mentioned a procedure, something that caused patients to have hallucinations and experience dark figures. It was all linked to this wing. Emma's eyes widen. Like the ones we saw? Exactly, I say, my heart racing as I recall the figures that haunted us. We need to figure out how to stop it. Maybe there's a way to reverse whatever was done to those patients. Just then, the waitress returns with our drinks, placing them on the table. Here you go. You two okay? I nod, offering a quick smile. Just a little tired. Long night, huh? She says, leaning against the table for a moment. Something like that, I reply, trying to keep the conversation light. She nods knowingly. This town can be a bit strange at night. You hear stories. I feel a chill run down my spine. What kind of stories? Oh, you know, she shrugs, her expression turning serious. About the hospital. People say it's haunted. Strange things happen there. I exchange a glance with Emma, my heart racing. Do you know anyone who worked there? I ask, trying to keep my tone casual. Just a few nurses, she says, glancing around as if checking for eavesdroppers. But most don't stick around long. They say they see things. Like what? I press, leaning in closer. Figures in the halls, voices calling their names. It's unsettling, to say the least, she replies, her voice low. I can feel Emma's hand tightening around the locket, her eyes wide with fear. We've seen them, I admit softly. The waitress's expression changes, concern flickering in her eyes. You should be careful, she warns. There's something off about that place. It pulls you in. I nod, feeling a chill creep over me. We're trying to get answers. Well, I hope you find what you're looking for, she says, her voice sincere. But don't forget, some things are better left alone. As she walks away, I feel a wave of uncertainty wash over me. What if we're in over our heads? Emma asks, her voice small. No, I say firmly, looking into her eyes. We have to keep going. We can't let fear win. The shadows might linger, but I refuse to let them dictate our fate. We finish our drinks in silence, the weight of our mission heavy on our shoulders. Once we've paid the bill, I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what lies ahead. Ready? I ask Emma. Ready, she replies, determination flickering in her gaze. As we step back outside, the chill of the night air hits us again. I glance around, half expecting the shadows to leap from the corners, but the parking lot is empty. Let's head back, I say, leading her toward the car. We need to find a way to confront them. With each step, the whispers echo in my mind, but I push them aside. We're strong, I remind myself. We have each other. As we get in the car, I can't shake the feeling that this is only the beginning. The shadows may have retreated for now, but I know they will return. Let's go back to the hospital, I say, my voice resolute. We'll find out everything we can about that procedure and the patients. Emma nods, her eyes shining with determination. Together, she says, and I can't help but smile at her bravery. Always together, I repeat as I pull out of the parking lot, the road stretching before us into the unknown. With the shadows looming in my mind, I know our fight is far from over. But as long as we stand united, I believe we can uncover the truth and put an end to this nightmare once and for all. As I drive back toward the hospital, the weight of our purpose settles heavily on my shoulders. The streets are eerily quiet, the darkness pressing in around us like a suffocating blanket. Emma sits silently beside me, her expression a mix of fear and determination. Mommy, what if we can't stop them? She asks quietly, breaking the silence that envelopes us. I take a deep breath, my heart aching for our innocence. We will, I assure her, keeping my eyes focused on the road. We have to believe that we can make a difference. As we pull into the hospital parking lot, the familiar facade looms ominously before us, its windows dark and unwelcoming. I can feel the shadows lurking just beyond the entrance, waiting for our return. Stay close to me, I say, turning off the engine and stepping out into the night. The cool air sends a shiver down my spine, but I push it aside, focusing on the task at hand. We make our way to the entrance, the silence almost deafening. I push open the door, the heavy sound echoing in the empty hallway. Let's go, I whisper, leading Emma inside. The lobby is dimly lit, the flickering lights casting erratic shadows on the walls. I glance around, my heart racing as I spot the staircase leading to the dark wing. This way, I say, taking Emma's hand as we ascend the stairs. With each step, the oppressive atmosphere thickens, and I can feel the whispers creeping back into my mind. You shouldn't have come back, they taunt, their voices a sinister melody. I clench my jaw, determined to push through. We're not afraid of you, I say aloud, trying to drown out the echoes. We reach the second floor, and I lead Emma down the corridor toward the dark wing. We need to find the treatment room, I remind her, my heart pounding with every step. The hallway feels more suffocating than before, the shadows shifting just out of sight. Mommy, I can hear them, Emma whispers, her voice trembling. Just keep holding the locket, I urge, feeling the weight of her fear. It's our anchor. As we reach the entrance to the dark wing, I hesitate for a moment, my pulse racing. This is it, I say, pushing open the door with a deep breath. Inside, the air is thick with tension, the darkness wrapping around us like a shroud. Stay close, I remind her, scanning the room for any signs of the treatment area. We move cautiously, the sound of our footsteps echoing ominously. The whispers rise again, taunting us from the shadows. You cannot escape, you are already ours. I shake my head, forcing myself to focus. We're stronger than you, I insist, but doubt seeps into my mind. Mommy, look. Emma points toward a door at the end of the corridor. That one says treatment room. Good eye, I say, my heart racing with hope. We make our way toward the door, but it's heavy and locked. Let me try, Emma says, stepping up beside me. She reaches for the handle, her small hand shaking as she grips it tightly. Hold on, I say, placing my hand over hers. We'll try together. On 3, she whispers, her eyes steady. 1, 2, 3. We pull on the handle with all our strength, but the door doesn't budge. It's stuck, I say, frustration bubbling up. Maybe we can find another way in? Emma suggests, glancing around the room. Good idea, I reply, scanning the area. Let's look for another entrance. As we step back, the shadows begin to shift, their forms twisting and coiling around us. You cannot escape your fate, they whisper, their voices growing louder and more insistent. Get back. I shout, feeling a surge of adrenaline. I push Emma behind me, ready to confront whatever is lurking in the darkness. Suddenly, one of the shadows lunges forward, a dark figure materializing from the gloom. You cannot stop us, it hisses, its voice echoing with malice. Stay close to me, Emma. I shout, gripping the locket tightly. Mommy, I'm scared, she cries, pressing against me. We have to stand our ground, I declare, facing the shadow. We are not afraid. The figure hesitates, momentarily taken aback by our defiance. You will regret this, it growls, but I can see uncertainty flickering in its form. Together, I urge, my voice rising. We are stronger together. Emma nods, gripping the locket tightly. Together, she echoes, her small voice filled with determination. As we stand united, the light from the locket begins to glow brighter, illuminating the darkness around us. The shadow shrieks, recoiling from the light. No! You cannot resist. Keep it close. I shout, stepping forward, the light pushing the darkness back. We won't let you take us. With each step, the figure begins to fade, its form dissipating into the shadows. You cannot escape, it screams, its voice fading into a chilling whisper. As the last remnants of the shadow dissolve, the air feels lighter, and the oppressive weight begins to lift. Did we do it? Emma asks, her eyes wide with disbelief. I think so, I say, glancing around the now quiet hallway. But we can't let our guard down. I turn back toward the locked treatment room, determination surging within me. We need to find a way in. There has to be something inside that can help us. Emma nods, her fear giving way to resolve. Maybe there's a key somewhere. Let's look, I reply, moving to the nearby desk and rifling through the papers. There are old files, outdated equipment, but nothing that seems to hold the key to our escape. Over here, Emma calls, pointing to a small cabinet in the corner. I hurry over, opening the cabinet doors to reveal a collection of old medical supplies. We need to find something useful, I say, my fingers trembling as I sift through the items. Suddenly, I spot something glimmering in the back, a set of keys hanging on a hook. Emma, look! I exclaim, reaching for them. Maybe one of those is for the treatment room, she says, excitement bubbling in her voice. I grab the keys and move back toward the door. Let's see if any of these work. I insert the first key, my heart pounding with anticipation. It clicks in the lock, and I turn the handle slowly, the door creaking open to reveal darkness beyond. Stay close, I whisper, stepping inside with Emma right behind me. The treatment room is dimly lit, the air stale and thick. Medical equipment is strewn about, but in the corner, I spot a table covered with files and charts. This must be it, I say, moving closer. As I sift through the papers, my heart races. This looks like patient information, I say, scanning the names and treatment details. We might find out what happened to them. Emma peers over my shoulder, her eyes wide with curiosity. What does it say? There's a lot here, I murmur, trying to focus despite the weight of the shadows lurking just outside the door. It mentions side effects, voices, and my breath catches as I read a specific entry. This one was treated with the same procedure, and it mentions a strong attachment to dark figures. Mommy, is that us? Emma asks, fear creeping into her voice. I think it is, I reply, my heart sinking. But we can break the cycle. Just then, the shadows outside begin to swirl again, the whispers rising to a fever pitch. You cannot escape your fate. Not again, I mutter, feeling a chill creep up my spine. We have to hurry. Emma urges, her voice filled with urgency. I grab as many files as I can, shoving them into my bag. Let's go! I shout, heading back toward the door. As we step outside the treatment room, the shadows loom closer, their whispers wrapping around us like tendrils. You will never escape. We will. I yell back, clutching the locket tightly. The light from the locket begins to pulse, pushing against the encroaching darkness. Stay with me, Emma. We dash down the corridor, the shadows chasing after us, but the light holds them at bay. We can make it. I shout, feeling the adrenaline surge through me. As we reach the main hallway, I spot the staircase leading to the exit. Up. Now! I yell, pulling Emma with me. We race up the stairs, the darkness clawing our heels. Almost there. I urge, my heart racing as we reach the top. Just as we step into the lobby, the shadows surge forward, their whispers becoming a deafening roar. You cannot leave. With a final push, we burst through the lobby doors and into the night air, gasping for breath. Did we lose them? Emma asks, glancing back. I hope so, I reply, scanning the parking lot. The shadows seem to recede, but I know they're still close, lurking just out of sight. Let's get out of here, I say, pulling Emma toward the car. As we reach the vehicle, I fumble with the keys, my hands shaking. Come on, I mutter, finally unlocking the door. We jump inside, slamming the door shut. Drive, Mommy. Emma urges, her eyes wide with fear. I start the engine, the sound a welcome roar in the quiet night. I'm going as fast as I can, I reply, pulling out of the parking lot. As we speed down the road, I can still hear the whispers trailing behind us, a haunting reminder of what we've escaped. But we've uncovered a part of the truth, and that gives me hope. We'll figure this out, I assure Emma, glancing at her as we drive into the night. together. And for the first time in what feels like an eternity, I allow myself to believe that we might just be able to defeat the darkness that has haunted us. The road stretches ahead, illuminated by the faint glow of the moon. My heart races as I drive, the adrenaline from our escape still coursing through my veins. Emma is quiet beside me, her small fingers clutching the locket tightly as if it were a lifeline. We need to figure out what to do next, I say, glancing at her. We can't let those shadows catch us again. Emma nods, her eyes wide. What if they come back? They might, I reply, keeping my voice steady. But we're stronger now. We know what we're up against. The thought of what we discovered in the treatment room weighs heavily on my mind. Those patients, were they trapped like us? What had been done to them? We should go to the library, I suggest, pulling into a dimly lit parking lot. There might be more information about the hospital, about the procedure. Emma brightens at the mention of the library. I like the library. We can find books. Exactly, I say, smiling at her enthusiasm. Let's see what we can uncover. We step into the library, the familiar scent of paper and ink enveloping us. The soft glow of desk lamps casts a warm light, creating a stark contrast to the darkness that lingers outside. I lead Emma to the local history section, scanning the titles for anything relevant. Here, I say, pulling out a book about the town's history. This might have some information about the hospital. We settle into a quiet corner, flipping through the pages together. The book is filled with photos and anecdotes, detailing the hospital's founding and its various transformations over the years. There's a section here about experimental treatments, I say, my heart racing as I read. It says they started a new program for mental health patients in the 1980s. Emma leans in closer. What does it say about it? It mentions something called the death procedure, I reply, my finger tracing the text. It was intended to help patients confront their fears. But, I pause, feeling a chill creep up my spine. It led to severe side effects, including hallucinations. Like the ones we saw? Emma asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Exactly, I confirm, my stomach twisting. And it says that the hospital had to shut down that program because of the complaints. Complaints, she repeats, frowning. What kind of complaints? Patients started reporting dark figures and voices, I explain, trying to keep my own fear at bay. It became so concerning that they had to stop the treatments. Emma bites her lip, her eyes wide. Do you think they still do it? I don't know, I say, closing the book. But we need to find out. Maybe we can talk to someone who used to work there, Emma suggests, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Great idea, I reply, feeling a spark of hope. If we can find someone, maybe they can tell us more about what happened. We spend the next hour combing through records, searching for names of former staff members or patients willing to share their experiences. My heart races as I piece together more of the hospital's dark history, the threads of our connection to it growing stronger. Just as I'm about to give up, I spot a name in an old newspaper clipping, Dr. Harold Finch, a psychiatrist who worked at the hospital during the experimental treatments. Emma, look at this, I say, pointing to the article. She squints at the faded text. What does it say? It says Dr. Finch was known for his unconventional methods, but after the program ended, he mysteriously disappeared, I explain, feeling a chill wash over me. There's a chance he knows something about what happened. Do you think we can find him? Emma asks, her excitement palpable. I'm going to try, I reply, jotting down the name and any other details I can find. Let's see if we can track him down. After a few more minutes of searching, we gather our findings and head to the checkout desk. The librarian eyes us curiously, but I keep my expression neutral as I check out the book and notes. Let's go home, I say as we step outside, the night air cooler than before. We need to come up with a plan. As we drive back, I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched, the shadows creeping at the edges of my vision. Emma remains quiet, lost in her thoughts, and I wonder if she feels it too. "Mommy," she finally says, breaking the silence. "Yes, sweetheart? Do you think we can help them? The patients?" I glance at her, my heart aching at her innocence. "I hope so," I reply. "But we have to be careful. We can't rush into this without knowing what we're dealing with." "Okay," she nods, determination lighting her features. "But we will help them, right?" "Of course," I promise, gripping the steering wheel tightly. "We'll do everything we can." Once home, we spread out our findings on the kitchen table, the faint glow of the lamp casting a warm light over our makeshift investigation. Emma looks through the articles, her small hands moving over the papers, and I can see the wheels turning in her mind. "Let's look online for any recent news about Dr. Finch," I suggest, pulling out my laptop. As I begin my search, I feel a sense of urgency wash over me. The deeper we delve, the closer we get to the truth, but the shadows are still out there, waiting for their chance to reclaim us. After a few minutes of searching, I stumble upon a recent blog post mentioning Dr. Finch. "Emma, look at this," I say, excitement flooding through me. She leans closer, her eyes wide as I read the article aloud. It says he's been spotted in a small town not far from here. He's been writing about his experiences in the hospital. "Can we go see him?" Emma asks, bouncing in her seat. "Yes," I say, feeling a surge of determination. We need to find him and get answers. I take a deep breath, my mind racing with possibilities. This could be our chance to not only save ourselves, but also help those who are still trapped in the shadows. "Let's get some sleep," I say finally, knowing that we'll need all our strength for what lies ahead. Tomorrow, we'll find Dr. Finch. As we prepare for bed, I can't shake the feeling that the shadows are closing in again. I tuck Emma into her bed, pulling the covers up to her chin. "I'll be right outside," I promise, lingering by the door. "Okay, Mommy," she murmurs, her eyes fluttering closed. But as I settle onto the couch, I feel the shadows creeping into my mind, whispers swirling around me, threatening to pull me back into their dark embrace. "Tomorrow, we'll find the light," I whisper to myself, closing my eyes as the whispers grow louder, engulfing me in darkness. Morning light filters through the curtains, waking me from a fitful sleep. I rub my eyes, trying to shake off the remnants of the night's haunting whispers. Emma is still asleep, her small form curled up under the covers, the locket clutched tightly in her hand. I rise quietly, moving to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. As I brew coffee, I think about our plan for the day. Finding Dr. Finch feels like our only chance to uncover the truth behind the darkness that has followed us. "Mommy?" Emma's sleepy voice pulls me from my thoughts. I turn to see her rubbing her eyes, her hair tousled. "Good morning, sweet pea," I say, pouring a cup of coffee. "Are you ready for our adventure today?" "Adventure," she echoes, a smile breaking across her face. "Are we going to find Dr. Finch?" "Yes," I reply, setting a plate of toast in front of her. "But we need to be careful. We don't know what to expect. She nods, her expression turning serious. Do you think he'll help us? I hope so, I say, taking a seat across from her. But we have to be prepared for anything. After breakfast, we gather our things, the notes from the library, the book about the hospital, and the locket, our source of strength. As we head out the door, I can feel a sense of determination building within me. The drive to the small town is filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. I try to keep the conversation light, but the shadows linger at the edges of my thoughts. Emma chatters about what she hopes to find, her innocence a bright beacon amidst my growing anxiety. Do you think he'll be nice? She asks, her voice filled with curiosity. I think he'll be helpful, I reply, trying to mask my own doubts. He might have answers for us. When we finally arrive at the town, I park outside a small cafe where Dr. Finch was reportedly seen. The quaint atmosphere feels oddly comforting, a stark contrast to the darkness of the hospital. Stay close, I remind Emma as we step inside. The cafe is warm and inviting, filled with the aroma of fresh coffee and baked goods. I approach the counter, where a friendly barista greets us. Can I help you? Yes, we're looking for Dr. Harold Finch, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. The barista's smile falters slightly. He comes here often, she replies cautiously. But I haven't seen him in a few days. Do you know where we might find him? I ask, feeling a sense of urgency. She hesitates, glancing around as if considering her next words. He usually sits by the window when he comes. If you want, I can leave a note for him. That would be great, thank you, I say, grateful for her help. After leaving a note with our contact information, Emma and I take a seat by the window, hoping he'll return soon. As we wait, I can't shake the feeling that something is off. The cafe's warm ambience contrasts sharply with the lingering shadows in my mind. What do you think he's like? Emma asks, peering out the window. I don't know, I admit, watching her expression. But I hope he's willing to talk about his time at the hospital. Just then, the bell above the cafe door jingles, and my heart skips a beat as a familiar figure enters. Dr. Finch, a tall man with graying hair and an air of weariness, steps inside. There he is. I whisper to Emma, feeling a mix of hope and fear. Dr. Finch glances around, his eyes falling on us. He approaches hesitantly, uncertainty written across his features. Can I help you? I take a deep breath, preparing to introduce ourselves. Dr. Finch, we left you a note. My name is Sarah, and this is my daughter Emma. He studies us for a moment, then nods. I received your message, he says slowly. What can I do for you? I exchange glances with Emma, feeling the weight of our mission pressing down. We need to talk about the hospital, about the depth procedure. His expression darkens at the mention of the hospital. That was a long time ago, he replies, his voice heavy. But we're in danger, I urge, my heart racing. There are things happening there, dark things. He hesitates, glancing around the cafe as if afraid of being overheard. Let's talk somewhere private, he says finally, leading us toward a small booth in the back. As we settle in, I can see the shadows of doubt clouding his eyes. What exactly do you know? He asks, his tone cautious. I take a deep breath, recounting our experiences, the whispers, the shadows, and our encounter in the treatment room. As I speak, I can feel the air grow heavy with unspoken truths. I was part of the team that oversaw the depth procedure, he admits finally, his voice low. But I had my reservations from the start. I saw too many patients suffer. Did you ever see any dark figures? Emma asks, her small voice breaking through the tension. Dr. Finch looks at her, his expression softening. Yes, he admits reluctantly. The procedure was meant to help, but it also opened doors we couldn't close. What do you mean? I press, my heart pounding. He leans closer, lowering his voice. The patients began to report more than just fears. They spoke of entities, shadows that seemed to feed on their fears. I tried to warn the administration, but what? I urge, desperate for answers. They didn't listen, he says, his expression haunted. When the complaints piled up, they shut the program down, but those entities, they didn't just disappear. They lingered. What do we do? Emma asks, her innocence shining through the darkness surrounding us. Dr. Finch's eyes flicker to mine, a mix of fear and resolve. We need to confront them. If they're still there, we have to find a way to close that door. But how? I ask, feeling the weight of the shadows creeping closer. I have some notes from my research, he replies, glancing around again. They might hold the key to understanding how to banish the darkness. Can we see them? I ask, my heart racing. Yes, but it will take time, he warns. We'll need to be cautious. If the shadows sense what we're doing, they might come after us, I finish, my heart sinking. I can help you, he says, determination creeping into his voice. But we have to do this right. I don't want to see you or your daughter hurt. Neither do I agree, my resolve hardening. We'll do whatever it takes to stop them. As we finish our conversation, a sense of urgency fills the air. We have a plan now, a glimmer of hope amidst the shadows. Let's meet again tomorrow, Dr. Finch suggests, standing up. I'll gather my notes, and we can formulate a plan. Thank you, I say, feeling a surge of gratitude. We'll be ready. As we leave the cafe, I can't shake the feeling that the shadows are still watching, their whispers echoing in my mind. But now, with Dr. Finch's help, we have a chance to confront them once and for all. The next day, I wake up with a mix of hope and trepidation. Today is the day we confront the shadows that have haunted us for so long. Emma is still asleep, her peaceful face a stark contrast to the turmoil in my heart. After preparing breakfast, I sit down at the table, going over our notes from the previous day. The research Dr. Finch mentioned lingers in my mind. If we can find a way to close the door the death procedure opened, we might finally be free. Mommy? Emma's voice pulls me from my thoughts, and I turn to see her yawning as she joins me at the table. Good morning, sweet pea, I say, ruffling her hair. Are you ready for today? Can we really stop the shadows? She asks, her eyes wide with hope. I believe we can, I reply, trying to infuse my voice with confidence. But we have to stay strong and work together. We finish breakfast and prepare for our meeting with Dr. Finch. The sun shines brightly outside, but the shadows in my mind persist. I know the darkness is still out there, waiting for its chance to reclaim us. As we drive to the cafe, I can feel the tension building, my heart racing with every mile. Emma is unusually quiet, her expression serious as she looks out the window. What if the shadows come while we're with Dr. Finch? We'll be careful, I assure her, gripping the steering wheel tightly. We won't let them take us again. When we arrive, I spot Dr. Finch sitting in our usual booth, a stack of papers spread before him. His expression is grave as we approach. approach. "Thank you for coming," he says, his voice low. "Did you find anything?" I ask, my heart racing. He nods, glancing at the papers. "I gathered everything I could find related to the depth procedure. There are theories about how to counteract the entities that were released." Emma leans in, her eyes bright with curiosity. "What does it say?" Dr. Finch takes a deep breath, his gaze serious. "The key lies in confronting your fears head on. We need to create a safe space where you can face the shadows together. But it requires preparation." "What kind of preparation?" I ask, my stomach nodding. "We'll need to gather items that represent your fears, things that can anchor you to reality," he explains. "And we'll need to use the locket as a source of light." Emma grips the locket tightly, her expression determined. "I can do it." "Yes, you can," I say, feeling pride swell in my chest. "But we'll do it together." Dr. Finch lays out a plan, outlining what we need to collect. "You'll need to confront the memories that fuel the shadows," he emphasizes. "It's the only way to break their hold." The conversation is intense, filled with details that make my heart race. I can see the fear in Emma's eyes, but also the resolve. "We can do this," I remind her, squeezing her hand. When we finish, we gather our things, ready to start our preparations. "Let's find the items we need," I say, leading Emma out of the cafe. The day is a whirlwind of activity. We visit local shops, searching for items that resonate with our fears, objects that hold memories of pain or darkness. Emma chooses a small stuffed animal that reminds her of a time she was scared, while I pick up an old photograph that holds painful memories of the past. As we gather our items, I can feel the shadows lurking just out of sight, their whispers growing louder. "You cannot escape," they taunt, sending a shiver down my spine. "Mommy, are you okay?" Emma asks, looking up at me with concern. "I'm fine," I reply, forcing a smile. "Just a little tired." But as we head home, I can't shake the feeling that time is running out. The shadows are closing in, and we need to confront them before they reclaim us. That night, as we prepare for our ritual, I can feel the tension in the air. The items we gathered lay on the table, each representing a part of our fears. The locket shines brightly, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. "Are you ready?" I ask Emma, my heart pounding. She nods, determination etched across her face. "We can do this, Mommy." I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of what lies ahead. Yes, we can. As we begin the ritual, the shadows swirl around us, their whispers growing louder. But we stand strong, hand in hand, ready to confront the darkness once and for all. The night stretches on as we begin the ritual, our hearts pounding in sync with the shadows that linger just outside our safe space. I clutch the locket tightly, its warmth grounding me as I look at Emma. Her small face is set with determination, and I draw strength from her bravery. "Close your eyes," I instruct softly. "We're going to visualize our fears and face them together." Emma nods, closing her eyes tight. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of emotions swirling within me. The whispers grow louder, a cacophony of voices trying to invade our minds. "Imagine the shadows," I say, my voice steady. "Picture them clearly." As we both focus, images begin to form in my mind, dark figures lurking, twisted faces filled with malice. I can feel Emma's fear radiating beside me, but I know we must face these demons together. "They thrive on fear," I whisper, urging her to remain strong. "We can't let them control us." With each passing moment, the whispers claw at my consciousness, taunting me. You think you can escape? You're trapped. No! I shout, my voice ringing through the room. We are not afraid. Emma opens her eyes, looking at me with fierce determination. We can fight them, she declares. Yes, we can. I affirm, feeling the power of our united strength. As we face our fears, I reach for the items we collected, one by one. The stuffed animal Emma holds becomes a symbol of her childhood fear. She squeezes it tightly, channeling her energy into it. I pick up the photograph, a reminder of my past struggles, and confront the pain it holds. We are stronger than our fears, I remind her, feeling the shadows push against our resolve. With each item we confront, I can feel the darkness recoiling, its whispers faltering. You cannot banish us, the shadows hiss, but their confidence begins to wane. Together, we can do anything. Emma shouts, her voice rising above the chaos. Suddenly, the room grows cold, and a dark mist starts to swirl around us. The shadows, sensing their power fading, lash out, their forms twisting and writhing. I clutch the locket tighter, its light flickering in response. Focus, Emma. I call out, feeling the energy between us grow. We have to shine our light. With a deep breath, I hold the locket high, its glow brightening the room. We reject the darkness. You have no power here. As the light radiates, the shadows scream, their forms dissipating in the brilliance of the locket's glow. The whispers turn into desperate wails, the darkness retreating before our combined strength. Keep holding on. I urge Emma, feeling the power surge through us. Don't let go. The shadows are being pushed back, but I can feel them regrouping, waiting for their chance to strike again. You'll never be free, they howl. But I can see the fear in their twisted forms, the realization that we've taken control. We are free. I shout, the words spilling from my lips like a mantra. Suddenly, a blinding flash fills the room, and I feel a rush of energy coursing through me. The shadows scream one last time before they are engulfed in the light, their forms disintegrating into nothingness. As the light fades, I collapse to the floor, breathing heavily. Emma kneels beside me, her eyes wide. Did we do it? I think we did, I reply, feeling a wave of relief wash over me. But just as I begin to feel hope creeping back into my heart, I hear a low whisper, almost like a taunt. You may have won this time, but we will return. No! I shout, but the voice fades, leaving behind an echo of threat. Emma clings to me, her small frame shaking. Mommy, I'm scared. I know, sweet pea, I say, wrapping my arms around her. But we face them together. That means we're stronger. But what if they come back? She asks, her voice trembling. We'll be ready for them, I promise, knowing deep down that we'll have to remain vigilant. As we sit together, the weight of the darkness still lingers in the air. I realize this fight may not be over, but we've taken a crucial step in reclaiming our lives. Let's get some rest, I say finally, knowing that we need to regroup and heal. Tomorrow, we'll figure out what to do next. With Emma by my side, I feel a sense of determination rise within me. No matter how many times the shadows come back, we will fight. Together, we are strong enough to face whatever darkness lies ahead. The following days blur into a whirlwind of emotions. While the shadows have been pushed back, their ominous presence still hangs in the air. I can't shake the feeling of impending doom that lurks just beyond the edges of my consciousness. We spend our time with Dr. Finch, going through his research and preparing ourselves for any potential confrontations. He becomes a mentor of sorts, guiding us through the complexities of the darkness we face. Remember, it's not just about fighting the shadows, he reminds us during one of our meetings. It's about understanding them. You need to know what they want. What do they want? Emma asks, her eyes wide with curiosity. They thrive on fear and despair, Dr. Finch explains, his tone serious. They want to feed off your negative emotions. If you can learn to control those feelings, you can weaken their hold. Can we really do that? I ask, my heart pounding with uncertainty. Yes, he replies, his gaze unwavering. But it requires practice and a strong bond between you two. As the days pass, we work diligently, facing our fears and emotions head on. We gather more items that represent our struggles, reinforcing our resolve. Emma's bravery shines through as she confronts her childhood fears, and I find strength in sharing my own. But the shadows remain a constant threat. I still hear their whispers at night, lingering in the dark corners of our home, waiting for us to falter. One evening, as we sit in the living room going over our notes, Emma suddenly looks up, her eyes wide. "Mommy, I think they're coming back." I feel a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" "I can hear them," she whispers, her voice trembling. I strain to listen, and sure enough, a low murmur fills the air, creeping into our thoughts. "You're not safe," the voice is his, slithering through the silence. "Stay close," I tell Emma, feeling panic rise within me. We've faced them before, we can do it again. As the whispers grow louder, the temperature in the room drops. I can see my breath, and I know the shadows are closing in. "Focus on the light, Emma," I shout, gripping the locket tightly. We stand together, holding the locket high as the darkness swirls around us. "You have no power here," I scream, my voice ringing out. But the shadows lash back, their presence suffocating. "You think you can banish us? You're too weak." "No," Emma cries, her voice breaking through the darkness. "We are not weak. We are strong." With her words, a surge of energy pulses through me. I can feel the light from the locket growing brighter, illuminating the room. The shadows recoil, their forms twisting in agony. "Together," I shout, my voice rising above the chaos. We concentrate on the light, letting it flow between us, channeling our energy into a single point of brilliance. The shadows scream, their voices mingling in a frenzy of rage and despair. "You cannot escape," they howl, but their words are losing power. "Yes, we can," Emma shouts, and I feel the strength of her spirit beside me. The light bursts forth, a radiant beacon that floods the room, driving the shadows back into the corners where they belong. "You have no hold over us," I declare, the confidence surging within me. With one final scream, the shadows are cast out, dissolving into the light. The room returns to normal, but I can still feel the remnants of their presence lingering. Breathing heavily, I look down at Emma, who is trembling but smiling. "Did we do it?" "Yes," I reply, relief flooding through me. But just as the hope begins to blossom, I hear the whispers again, softer now but laced with malice. "This isn't over." "No," I murmur, feeling the weight of their words. "But we'll be ready." In the days that follow, we continue our training with Dr. Finch, determined to prepare ourselves for the inevitable return of the shadows. Each encounter makes us stronger, our bond deepening as we face our fears together. Remember, Dr. Finch tells us, the shadows are persistent, but so are you. They will test your resolve, but you must never give in. With each lesson, I can feel our strength growing. We learn to channel our fears into power, to confront the darkness with light. But as much as we prepare, I can't shake the feeling that something is coming, something dark and powerful that will test us in ways we can't yet imagine. One night, as I tuck Emma into bed, I can't help but glance at the window, half expecting to see shadows lurking just outside. "Mommy?" Emma's voice interrupts my thoughts. "Yes, sweet pea." "Do you think they'll really come back?" she asks, her voice small and uncertain. I pause, considering my answer. "I think they'll try," I say carefully. "But we will always stand together. We're stronger than they are." Emma nods, her eyes shining with trust. "Okay, Mommy. I believe you." As I leave her room, I feel a flicker of hope amidst the uncertainty. Whatever the shadows throw at us, I know we'll face it as a family, united against the darkness. But deep down, I can still hear the whispers, lingering in the corners of my mind, reminding me that the battle is far from over. The days turn into weeks, and we continue to train with Dr. Finch, who becomes a vital part of our lives. Each meeting reinforces our resolve, and together, we delve deeper into the shadows that threaten our existence. However, even as we grow stronger, the whispers remain a constant backdrop, a reminder that the darkness is always lurking. It feels as if a storm is brewing, just waiting for the right moment to strike. One evening, as we sit around the table, going over our notes, Dr. Finch leans forward, his expression grave. "There's something I need to tell you both." "What is it?" I ask, my heart racing. "The shadows are becoming bolder," he warns. "I've been receiving reports from other patients who were part of the death procedure. They're experiencing similar disturbances." "Disturbances?" Emma echoes, her eyes wide. "Shadowy figures, whispers, and an overwhelming sense of dread," he replies. "It seems the procedure didn't just release those entities, it has also awakened something more powerful." "What do you mean?" I ask, fear creeping into my voice. "There are reports of a figure, a dark presence that has been following the patients," Dr. Finch explains. "Some describe it as a wraith-like entity, feeding off their fear." I exchange a glance with Emma, a chill running down my spine. "What can we do?" "We need to confront this entity directly," Dr. Finch says, determination in his voice. "But it will take everything we have." The gravity of his words sinks in. "What do we need to do?" I ask, my voice steadier than I feel. "We'll gather everyone affected, share our experiences, and confront this darkness as a united front," he explains. "It's the only way we can hope to banish it." With a heavy heart, I nod in agreement. "Okay, let's do it." In the days that follow, we work tirelessly to connect with others who were part of the death procedure. It feels daunting, but each person we reach out to adds to our growing network of support. Finally, the day arrives for our gathering. We meet in a dimly lit community center, a sense of unease hanging in the air. The room is filled with individuals who share our experiences, and I can feel the weight of their fears pressing down on us. Dr. Finch stands at the front, addressing the group. "Thank you all for coming. We're here to share our stories and face this darkness together." As we take turns sharing our experiences, I feel a sense of camaraderie growing among us. Each story is unique, yet the thread of fear weaves us together. Finally, it's my turn to speak. I stand, clutching the locket in my hand as I share our journey, the whispers, the shadows, the encounters that brought us here. But we've learned to stand strong together, I conclude, my voice firm. We can't let the darkness win. The room is silent, the weight of our shared experience is palpable. But then, a woman stands up, tears in her eyes. I've felt so alone, she admits, her voice trembling. But hearing your story gives me hope. Others begin to nod in agreement, their expressions shifting from fear to determination. We can do this, a man says, his voice growing stronger. Together. As the mood in the room shifts, I feel a spark of hope ignite within me. Yes. I say, my heart racing. We need to confront this entity head on. Dr. Finch steps forward, a serious expression on his face. We need to prepare ourselves for what's coming. The darkness is powerful, but together we can stand against it. We spend the next few hours discussing our strategies, gathering our items of power, and reinforcing our commitment to face the shadows. As we prepare to leave, I can sense the anticipation building. Remember, Dr. Finch warns, stay united. Do not let fear tear you apart. With that, we leave the community center, feeling stronger than ever. The weight of the darkness is still present, but I can feel our collective resolve shining brighter. That night, as Emma and I prepare for bed, I can't shake the feeling that something is coming. Mommy? Emma asks, her voice soft. Yes, sweet pea. Do you think we can really stop it? We will, I promise, brushing her hair back. We're stronger together. And we have each other. As she drifts off to sleep, I sit by her side, my heart heavy with uncertainty. I know we have to face the darkness soon, but I also know that we're ready. As the hours pass, I can feel the tension in the air, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Suddenly, I hear a faint whisper, like a distant echo. You cannot escape. I tense, the hair on the back of my neck standing on end. Emma, wake up. She stirs, her eyes fluttering open. What is it? Stay close to me, I say, grabbing the locket and holding it tightly. The whispers grow louder, filling the room with a chilling resonance. You think you can banish us? We are everywhere. With a surge of determination, I hold the locket high, its light shimmering in the darkness. You have no power here. Emma grips my hand, her eyes wide with fear. Mommy, I'm scared. We can do this. I shout, forcing my voice to steady. Together. The darkness begins to swirl around us, the shadows coiling like serpents. I can feel the cold tendrils creeping toward us, but I stand firm, the locket radiating warmth. Focus, Emma. I call out, feeling the bond between us strengthen. We are stronger than they are. As I raise the locket higher, a brilliant light bursts forth, illuminating the room and pushing back the shadows. The whispers turn into screams of rage, and the darkness recoils in fear. You cannot escape our grasp, they howl. Yes, we can. Emma shouts, her voice ringing out like a clarion call. With renewed strength, we channel our fears into the locket, letting its light fill the room. The shadows writhe and twist, their forms faltering as the brightness engulfs them. We will not be afraid, I declare, feeling the energy surging through us. As the light intensifies, the darkness is driven back, the shadows dissipating into nothingness. But just as we begin to feel victorious, I hear that familiar whisper again, softer this time but laced with malice. This isn't over. No. I scream, frustration rising within me. But the darkness is gone, leaving us in the silence of our home. Breathing heavily, I look at Emma, who is trembling but smiling. Did we win? Yes, I reply, my heart still racing. But deep down, I know that the battle isn't over. The shadows will return, and we have to be ready. As the night fades into dawn, I hold Emma close, feeling the warmth of her small body against mine. Together, we will face whatever comes next, united against the darkness that seeks to engulf us. The days following our latest confrontation are heavy with an unsettling calm. The whispers have subsided, but the air is thick with anticipation, as if the world itself is waiting for the next move. Emma and I go through our routines, but the normalcy feels fragile, like glass about to shatter. One evening, as I tuck Emma into bed, she looks up at me with those wide, innocent eyes. "Mommy, do you think they're really gone?" I smooth her hair back, forcing a smile. "For now, yes. But we need to stay strong and prepared. Remember what Dr. Finch said, the shadows are persistent." She nods, but I can see the worry etched on her face. As I leave the room, I glance back at her, a sense of unease creeping in. The darkness may be lurking, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. Later that night, I lie awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. The silence is deafening, punctuated only by the occasional creak of the house settling. I can't shake the feeling that something is off. It's as if the walls are closing in, and the shadows are gathering just beyond my vision. Suddenly, a loud bang echoes through the house, making me jump. My heart races as I sit up, straining to listen. "Emma?" I call softly, but there's no response. I swing my legs over the side of the bed, my pulse quickening. "Stay calm," I whisper to myself, forcing my feet to the floor. I tiptoe down the hall, every shadow seeming to twist and writhe in the dim light. As I approach Emma's room, the door creaks open on its own, and a cold gust of air washes over me. I hesitate, my instincts screaming for me to turn back, but I push the door wide open. Emma's bed is empty. Panic floods my system as I scan the room, searching for any sign of her. "Emma!" I shout, my voice shaking. Then, from the corner of my eye, I catch movement. I whip around to see a dark figure standing at the end of the hall, just out of reach of the light. My breath hitches as the figure starts to dissolve into the shadows, its form flickering like a faulty light bulb. "Emma!" I scream, charging down the hall toward it. "Get away from her!" But the figure vanishes before I can reach it, leaving me alone in the oppressive darkness. I fumble for the locket, my only source of light and hope, and clutch it tightly. Think, I whisper to myself. I need to find her. Suddenly, I remember Dr. Finch's words, the darkness feeds on fear. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. I can't let it control me. I need to be strong for Emma. "Emma!" I call again, forcing my voice to remain steady. "Where are you?" There's a moment of silence, and then I hear a soft whimper from the living room. I rush toward the sound, my heart pounding in my chest. As I enter the room, I see Emma curled up on the couch, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Mommy," she cries, reaching for me. I rush to her side, wrapping my arms around her. "What happened? Are you okay?" "I had a bad dream," she sobs, burying her face in my shoulder. "Shoo, it's okay," I soothe, holding her tightly. "You're safe now. I'm here." But even as I comfort her, I can feel the lingering presence of the shadows, their whispers echoing in the back of my mind. They are not gone, they are merely biding their time. The days turn into a blur of unease as Emma and I navigate through the aftermath of that night. I feel the weight of the shadows pressing down on us, each creak of the house making my heart race. Dr. Finch's warnings echo in my mind, urging me to prepare for the inevitable. One evening, as we sit together in the living room, I decide it's time to face our fears head on. Emma, I think we need to talk about what happened, I say gently, my voice steady. Her eyes widen, fear flickering across her face. But what if they come back? I take her hands in mine, squeezing gently. That's exactly why we need to be brave. We have to confront the darkness together. Dr. Finch said that strength comes from unity. Emma nods slowly, her expression shifting from fear to determination. Okay, Mommy. I'm ready. That night, we gather everything we need, the locket, candles, and protective symbols Dr. Finch had given us. I feel a surge of purpose as we prepare the living room, turning it into our sanctuary. We're going to send them away for good, I declare, my voice firm. As we light the candles, I can sense the atmosphere shift, the air growing thick with anticipation. Remember, I tell Emma, we must stay focused and united. No matter what happens, we stick together. As I close my eyes, I can feel the shadows creeping in at the edges of my mind. Show yourselves. I call out, my voice steady despite the tremor in my heart. We are not afraid of you. For a moment, there is silence. But then, like a tide rolling in, the shadows surge forward, their whispers becoming a cacophony. You cannot escape us, they hiss, echoing through the room. Emma, hold the locket. I shout, and she grips it tightly, its light flickering to life. The shadows swirl around us, dark tendrils reaching out, but I push through the fear. We are stronger than you, I declare, channeling all my energy into the locket. A beam of light bursts forth, illuminating the room, pushing the shadows back momentarily. But the whispers grow louder, more frantic. You will not win. I can feel the shadows pulling at the edges of my mind, trying to break my resolve. Emma, focus on the light. I shout, trying to drown out the whispers. We are together. Together, she echoes, her voice shaking but determined. The locket grows brighter, filling the room with a warm glow. You have no power here. I scream, forcing every ounce of strength I have into the light. But the shadows seem to multiply, enveloping us in their dark embrace. I can feel the chill seep into my bones, and doubt creeps in. What if we can't do this? I think, but I push the thought aside. Mommy! Emma cries, her voice breaking through the haze. Don't let them win. With renewed determination, I raise the locket higher, its light shimmering against the oppressive darkness. You are nothing but a whisper. You cannot take our light. The shadows writhe and twist, their forms flickering as if struggling against the brightness. We are the fear that resides within you, they scream, their voices blending into a dissonant roar. No! I shout, my heart pounding in my chest. We will not let fear control us. Suddenly, the locket emits a blinding flash, and the shadows scream, recoiling from the light. I feel the energy surging through me, a connection to every moment of courage I've ever felt. Emma, focus. Channel your energy into the locket. I call out, feeling her small hand in mine. I can do it, she yells, her voice filled with determination. Together, we direct our fear, our strength, and are let into the locket. The light expands, pushing the shadows further back, illuminating every dark corner of the room. Leave us, I command, feeling the power grow within us. The shadows writhe in fury, but their forms begin to dissipate. You think this is the end? We will return, they screech, their voices fading into the light. But we do not relent. The locket shines brighter than ever, and with one final push, the shadows evaporate into nothingness, leaving only the warm glow surrounding us. The room is silent, the oppressive weight of the darkness lifted. I collapse onto the floor, pulling Emma into my arms as tears stream down my face. We did it, I whisper, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief wash over me. Yes, Mommy, she exclaims, her voice bubbling with joy. We were so brave. As we hold each other tightly, I feel a flicker of doubt linger in the back of my mind. The shadows may be gone for now, but I can't shake the feeling that they will return, perhaps in a different form. Days pass, and life slowly returns to normal. Emma and I spend time with Dr. Finch, discussing what we experienced and how to prepare for any future encounters. Your courage was commendable, he tells us, his eyes filled with pride. But remember, the shadows thrive on fear. You must always remain vigilant. I nod, grateful for his guidance. We continue to strengthen our bond, learning to channel our energy and face the darkness whenever it threatens to resurface. But as the weeks turn into months, I can't shake the sense of unease that lingers in the back of my mind. At night, I often find myself waking from dreams of dark figures and whispers. I can feel the shadows lurking just beyond my perception, testing my resolve. One evening, as Emma plays in her room, I hear a soft voice call my name. Mommy? I turn, my heart racing. Yes, sweet pea. She peeks around the corner, her expression serious. Do you think they're really gone? I take a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. For now, yes. But we must always be ready to face them again. Together. She nods, and I can see the trust in her eyes. As I tuck her into bed that night, I can't help but glance out the window, half expecting to see the shadows lurking just outside. But instead, I see the moon shining brightly, casting its light into our home, illuminating every dark corner. No matter what happens, I whisper to myself, we will face it together. The whispers may return, and the shadows may loom, but as long as we have each other, I know we can conquer anything. Hope your dreams are filled with fear. Good night.